This podcast is a member of the Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network. Visit voicesofwrestling.com to hear the rest of our great podcasts, as well as show reviews, columns, opinions, and updates across the world of wrestling.
Very, 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 Mickey, 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 Fishy, Fishy!
You are listening to the Voices of Wrestling podcast with your hosts, Joe Lanza.
X out and go listen to some boring podcast where they're afraid of their own shadow. Okay? Don't listen to Joe Lanza, because Joe Lanza's not changing.
And Rich Craich.
Give me a name. Who delivers this guy in a big spot?
Joe, don't yell at me. I like him.
In the big spot, who delivers better than this guy?
Stop yelling at me. I agree.
And we are live here on the Voices of Wrestling Flagship podcast. I'm Rich Craich, alongside, as always, the King of Banter, Mr. Joe Lanza. Joe, opening day. We don't usually do a show on opening day. This is rare. These people are getting a treat here. Interrupting our baseball day.
We don't have to tell them that we're doing this show in the window where there's no game. They don't need to know.
Kayfabe. It's just like you, the valiant hero that you were last night, because you were so inspired by AEW Dynamite, doing your Thursday tier review that night, immediately after Dynamite. And I did see one person say, hey, did you just do that last night so you could watch baseball all day? And you were like, no, absolutely not at all what the plan was whatsoever. So you're right. No, yeah, we are pulling ourselves away from all the great baseball games that are on right now as we speak. So, fortunately, though, for your Reds, I think we're on the wrong track to the 1919 World Series rematch that we were all hoping for. But hey, tomorrow's another day, or Friday, or I don't know what day are they playing again. Are they doing the thing where they take off the next day? Everybody takes off the next day.
Yeah, in case of a rain out. Yeah.
Sucks. You know, isn't that just the worst? Because you're like, yeah, baseball. Like the next day, like you're still kind of on that high from opening day, and then you're ready to go for the next day, and there's just fucking nothing. Just nothing on. Well, at least you'll get 2 games from the rainouts today. Or, well, one was a COVID out, so
yeah.
Maybe not that one, but
tomorrow there's no day games, which is just so weird and stupid. I mean, we talk about this every year. Opening day, every team should play, and they should all be a day game. That's what opening day should be. The next day too. But it is what it is.
Yeah, get us through the weekend. At least get you through the weekend and then go to the normal schedule. But yeah, let's
go back to normal schedule.
Right,
yeah.
right. But yeah, let's at least get through Thursday, Friday, Saturday at least with some fun games. Take a Saturday off.
Can we take baby steps and at least get every team playing on opening day?
That would be good. Yes.
What is this thing where some teams start the next day? It wasn't ever like that until, about 10, 15 years ago,
Just
I guess?
about, yeah. Because I remember growing up, it was just like, boom, everybody went, everybody started. Then, yeah, something got weird. And then, obviously, like 5-6 years ago, we've had the same discussion in every single flagship that we've done ever. A few years ago, they started doing the weird stuff where, like, they'll go to Japan and they'll play a game on, like, March 24th, and that's, counts as a game or whatever. And it's just like, come on, it's so silly. And then they come back, and then some teams are still in spring training, but these teams are already 1-0 or 2-1 or whatever. It's just, yeah, it's kind of just everybody starts on opening day. Everybody does a day game. Everybody does day games for 2-3 days, and then we can go to our normal schedule after that. So.
Yeah, but no, I had 2 tweets drafted last night. One said, man, that Dynamite was so good, I'm not waiting till tomorrow. Thursday TV reviews right now. And the other one said, man, that Dynamite was so bad, I'm not waiting for tomorrow. Thursday TV reviews right now. But a couple of savvy listeners called me out, and they broke the kayfabe. So, either way, the show was happening last night. I wasn't doing a show today during all these games, especially the Reds game, which they lost. That's fine. Listen, you know how it is, Rich. Everybody wins 60, everybody loses 60, and the other 42 determine your season.
That's what you do in the other 42. Yeah. That's an old Hawk Harrelson would say that after every opening day when the White Sox would lose. He would definitely. Yeah. That's an old adage. That's an old manager, old baseball adage for sure. And that's not. I mean, it's not wrong. It's absolutely right.
I mean, count up the teams in history who have lost less than 60 games or won less than 60 games. It's not that many. So it's an adage that's absolutely true. 42 game really comes down to 42 games your season. But no game right now, and that's why we're doing this.
Yeah, absolutely. And it might be an abbreviated episode of the Voice Wrestling Flagship, because while Joe was able to watch his team a little bit earlier, my team starts at 9 p.m. Central. So we'll try to get things done at least before that. We'll see. I mean, this is not really a huge week. And trust me, you're going to get a lot of content from the both of us over the next few days, next week or so. So we'll see where we go with this show. But yeah, we'll be under 3 hours this week for sure, as we try to get out of here in time. So I can watch my White Sox start their season and start the climb again to the 1919 World Series rematch, which I think we're ready for. I think the world is ready for the White Sox to put the Black Sox scandal behind them finally, once and for all, and make it happen against the Reds here. But let's get right into the wrestling stuff, though. We're going to start out first with the news of NXT officially moving to Tuesdays. We had alluded to this many weeks ago. Credit to the Mat Men podcast on F4WOnline.com. Those guys had them like right out of the gates. They had it like a month and a half ago, and a lot of people were like, who the hell are these guys? Whatever. They stuck with it. They stayed by it and said, no, we promise this is true. We're telling you it's happening. And little by little, some, wrinklings would kind of, some little news would come out here and there. And finally, it became official earlier this week. Here's the release, at least from WWE. It says, beginning April 13th, NXT on USA will be airing in its usual time slot, but now it will be airing on Tuesdays. The move was confirmed by WWE and is part of the company's new multi-year extension with the USA Network. NXT founder and senior producer Paul Triple H Levesque commented on the Night Switch and stated that the move provides an opportunity for the brand to grow. He says, quote, "We are thrilled to continue WWE and NBC Universal's long-standing partnership with the extension of NXT on the USA Network. The move to Tuesdays provides a new opportunity for us to grow the NXT brand and enables our partner, USA Network, to continue to build its strong portfolio of sports and entertainment programming." So, NXT going to Tuesdays. First off, we thought it was because of the NHL. That I think is still probably an issue as well with the NHL. With NBC Sports Network moving away, the NHL having properties going to USA. Obviously, that isn't as big of a deal after this year because the NHL's got their new contract. They won't be. I think, is that correct? They will not be on USA after this year, right? Because that deal with ESPN comes the following season. Am I right, or am I mixed up there? Or 2 seasons from now?
I don't know when the ESPN deal kicks in off the top of my head.
And I don't think they've actually finished their deals yet. I think there's still some games and some things out there for the NHL. But either way, that was the first sort of thing that we saw as like, oh, well, that's weird. Where are these NHL games going to go? And NHL has, big time games on Wednesdays, and here's NXT sitting there on Wednesdays. But no real, we don't know exactly the reason why, but all we do know is April 13th, NXT moving to Tuesday. So the Wednesday night war, as short as it was, is officially over. So Joe, what do you make of the news of NXT moving on to Tuesdays?
I mean, it's obviously better for everyone, What I'm interested in is which show will benefit more. I don't think either show is just going to start putting up 1 million viewers a week. If people think that, I think they're off base. And I'm not quite sure which show it'll help more, because there is some evidence that tells us that your typical AEW viewer isn't interested in NXT. And then there's some other evidence the other way around that your typical NXT viewer isn't interested in Dynamite. But then you look at this week's ratings where Dynamite's drop in the 18 to 49 correlated almost to the number to NXT's rise in the 18 to 49 with this 1 week sample, which of course, looking at 1 week samples can be dangerous. And it was, the go-home show for TakeOver, and also it could have just been happenstance. Who knows? Because, again, it's very dangerous looking at 1 week samples. But so this week would indicate that maybe there is a little bit of crossover, and maybe viewers do choose based on what they think is going to be the better show. I don't know. I mean, I'm just going strictly with my gut and nothing else. I'm not using any evidence. So basically, this is a meaningless opinion. My gut is telling me that NXT is going to benefit from this more than AEW. And I don't know why my gut is telling me that. But I don't think Dynamite's going to see some gigantic boost with NXT out of the picture, especially since Revolution, Dynamite's kind of been struggling. up and down, but mostly down since Revolution. So I don't know. What's your feel on it? Do you think either show is going to get a massive gain out of this? Do you think it's going to be much of the same? I mean, what do you think?
I actually have kind of a similar thought to you, and the reason why I have this, and I thought about this a little bit earlier, and I don't, again, like, this is completely unfounded. I have no idea. We'll find out, in a few weeks' time, what's reflected in here. But to me, I think NXT does benefit more by moving to Tuesdays because, and again, no real basis in reality or fact or whatever for this, just kind of a thing I'm throwing out, or just kind of a thought that I have is, to me, if your average AEW fan, your average AEW every single week Dynamite fan, your AEW person that watches pay-per-views and does all that sort of stuff, to me, those people strike me as more wrestling fan that will watch a lot of different stuff. Your typical AEW fan strikes me as somebody who's probably going to watch WrestleMania next weekend. Is probably going to check out the Friday NXT or the Thursday NXT Stand and Deliver show. Is going to check out some WrestleMania weekend stuff. Is going to check out other stuff. So to me, like, that fan might say, oh, you know what? Hey, my Tuesdays are opened up now. Or, hey, I don't have to worry about flipping between AEW and NXT. I will watch NXT on Tuesdays. I don't know if that's actually true, but it seems to me, or at least my guess would be, that those fans are a little bit more apt to move on to the other show, watch some other shows, watch some other wrestling, do all that sort of stuff. Whereas to me, your typical, your dyed-in-the-wool NXT fans, I don't think now go, oh, cool, I can watch Dynamite, or oh, cool, I can watch this. I think that their NXT, their WWE, their SmackDown, they got everything that they need. They're Raw, they're SmackDown, they're NXT, they're that. Like, you're dyed-in-the-wool, I'm watching NXT over AEW fans. Those people are 100% just going to stick with NXT. I don't see them thinking, oh, great, my Wednesdays are open now. Now I'll watch AEW. I don't see that. And again, I don't have any real basis for that. But what do you think about that, where AEW fans are probably more of your kind of well-rounded wrestling fans, where your NXT dyed-in-the-wool, hardcores are just watching WWE programming every single week?
Would it stun you if Dynamite, starting next week, started doing 950,000 viewers and a 0.4 in the demo every week, and did see a tangible gain simply by NXT moving, or vice versa? Either show just showing, a measurable, tangible gain from being away from the other. Would it stun you, though?
It wouldn't stun me, I think, on the NXT side. I think it would surprise me a little bit on the AEW side. If, like, consistently now it's all 900,000, 950, whatever that and the 0.4 in the demo, like you said, that would surprise me for AEW to get that. For NXT, I really wouldn't be that surprised, because we can look at some of those shows, and yeah, they're a little bit different, they're a little unique, but there were times where NXT moved to Tuesdays. There was times where NXT ran unopposed, and those numbers did very well. So I think that kind of speaks to the point that you and I are bringing up, is that it does seem that, like, not all of your AEW fans, but a good number of your AEW fans, the people that watch Dynamite maybe primarily, are willing to watch NXT, are willing to kind of flip over, are willing to kind of check it out. And I don't know, we don't really have any basis yet for those AEW, those NXT fans to move on to AEW, or your normal WWE fans to say, oh, great, Wednesdays are, nothing else is on Wednesdays now. Yeah, I'll watch AEW. I don't know. It wouldn't stun me on the NXT side, but I think it would stun me if consistently AEW starts getting those numbers on Wednesdays. I don't know. There's just no reason to believe it. And I guess there's no reason to believe the NXT number rising either. It's just kind of us grasping at straws here.
I think WWE finds a way to put something else on Wednesdays in some capacity. I do think that happens.
Oh, I think that NXT Evolve thing, and we talked about that weeks and weeks and weeks ago when that thing was announced, and we had some rumblings that NXT might be moving to Tuesdays. I think that NXT Evolve or something is going on Wednesdays on Peacock for sure. They're not going to let that day sit out there wide open for them. They're just not.
No, somehow, some way, they're going to want to continue chipping away at Dynamite's number.
Yeah, and you don't know this company if you think that we're making that up, or that's not going to be true. I mean, I hate to do victory laps for things that have been right, but I mean, if you've listened to the show over the last 10 years, pretty much any competitive thing that WWE does, we can predict a mile away. Whether it's hiring Jim Ross to get him away from World of Sport, whether it's doing this to New Japan, or doing this. I mean, it doesn't matter how if you are a threat in any way whatsoever, they're going to find a way to counter program you and take you down, no matter what. That is their. So if you think that they're just going to sit idly and say, you know what? Let those guys have Wednesday. We're worried about Tuesdays now. You're out of your fucking mind. There's no way. No chance in hell.
Something's got to be coming. But this is better for everybody. It was I don't know what the right word is. I don't know if I want to call it. I know petty's not the right word. Childish isn't the right word. I don't even think predatory is the right word. But intentionally going head to head. I mean, we all knew it was coming. AEW knew it was coming. It was fun for a while for wrestling fans, I guess. But in the big picture, it was probably not good for either side to have them going head to head like that. It ended up being very good for Raw and Nitro 25 years ago to go head to head with each other. But then again, I guess 2.5 decades on, was it? I mean, that seems to be the perception now. Did that help spark, that hot era in wrestling, the fact that they were going head to head?
Yeah, I mean, I guess
could have happened if Nitro was on Tuesdays.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess the one thing that I think most people that were involved in it at the time would just say that it just got the competitive juices flowing, where both sides were, deciding or figuring out, okay, we need to compete, and as such, changing, the entire style of the companies both times over. WCW changing their style, and then WWF obviously a year or two later decided that they're going to go in a completely different style. And I don't know whether like people don't have those competitive juices anymore, whether there's just the landscape is differently. We didn't see it here, and we didn't see it again. I mean, this isn't the first time we've done this and went through this before. I mean, people that have been fans for a while remember the TNA moving to Mondays and competing with Raw, and how very quickly it was just like, oh, never mind, this is stupid. This isn't going to work, and it's. Like you're saying, the very idea of just going head to head isn't enough. That going head to head doesn't just make both guys go up. That doesn't work. What works is getting more competitive, getting the juices flowing, getting very really worrying about what you're doing every single week, making sure it matters, doing all that sort of stuff. But again, we're talking about a frame of reference from 25, 30 years ago. Does that still apply anymore? I don't know. And
I think the WWE side in the early days, I think they were doing some competitive things. They brought Finn Balor over. They brought Charlotte over.
Oh, no doubt.
They were doing those overruns to try to eke out and artificially raise the average by sticking an 8 or 9 or 10 minute overrun on their main events. But they kind of just after a while gave up.
Right, and that's kind of what WWE does these days. Is they get very competitive about something and very focused on something for a few weeks or whatever, and then they just kind of give up, and it's just kind of business as usual. And I think again that's what I'm kind of trying to get at there is what made Nitro and what made Raw so special all those years ago is Nitro saying, you know what, fuck it, yeah, we're gonna do, we're gonna turn Hulk Hogan heel, we're gonna do the NWO, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do that, and they did a bunch of stuff that had never been seen on TV wrestling ever before, and sparked their growth in that way of complete, and whether that was because they were on Mondays, I mean, yeah, maybe they wouldn't have been as competitive, or they wouldn't have thought and taken as many risks as they weren't on Mondays, but it took sort of saying, hey, fuck it, no, we're going to change the game, we're going to do a bunch of different stuff, and then likewise, 2 years later, WWF, they're getting their ass kicked, and go, okay, fuck this, we're going to do the Attitude Era, we're going to go fully in this direction, and yeah, you could say that could have happened if they were on Wednesdays or whatever, but it needed that head-to-head to kind of get those juices flowing, and I guess we kind of had that for a little bit, but then you're right, both shows felt like they just kind of went and did, they just kind of turned into whatever they were going to be, and I don't think, we know that AEW, we have evidence of that, and you've talked about it in the TV reviews as well, of AEW kind of being very smart about, what goes on and what time slot and who goes in and who starts off the show and who comes in at this slot and who comes in at this slot and that stuff. NXT for the large part has just kind of just done their normal show. They don't really seem like they care all that much. They seem like they are just fine existing on that Wednesday night, and whatever amount that they take away from AEW is fine. They just want to take something away from them, as opposed to really kind of compete on any level. Because, you've talked about on your Thursday tier reviews as well, like Timothy Thatcher in these big time spots, and he'd fucking blow the ratings every single time. He'd just absolutely crater the ratings, and they didn't seem to really notice or care. So I don't know. It just, annoying is probably the word I would use for what this Wednesday quote unquote war became after a little bit. It just became sort of tiresome every single week, just waiting for the ratings and reacting to them in the same way. And it wasn't even a war anymore. I mean, it was over for a long time.
So there's one more week of it next Wednesday. And when is the takeover? The takeover is on...
Takeover is Wednesday and then Thursday. The night one is Wednesday and then night two is Thursday.
So what's going on? What are they airing on USA next Wednesday?
Takeover Stand and Deliver 1, I believe. Right?
Oh.
So night one of Stand and Deliver is going to be...
Is a TV special.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
And then night two is, I guess, presumably on Peacock.
Correct. I think.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't know if they've done a good job of telling us that, but I think that's true. Yes.
So they have a good chance.
Oh, they're gonna do well next week.
They closed the gap somewhat this week. I mean, by the standards of what it's been. There's an outside chance they can win in the demo next week. They could easily win in total viewers because they're usually pretty close in total viewers anyway. Relatively close. But it's the demo where they get crushed. There's an outside chance they can catch them in the demo if people are into, what they're airing on Wednesday next week for the first half of this takeover. But then that'll be it. Then they move to Tuesday. And, of course, that had ripple effects because Impact is then moving to Thursday. Impact is done on Tuesdays. They're airing on Thursday next week. And what's interesting about that is Kenny Omega is wrestling on that show because obviously they wanted to load that up to get people to make sure people watch on Thursday and understand that they're changing their day and all of that. But it's also going head to head with the second night of the takeover on Peacock. So that's going to be a very interesting number for Impact because they've got Kenny Omega wrestling, which is rare, and in theory should help them do a very big number, but they're going head-to-head with a takeover, but the takeover is on Peacock, and we don't really know how many of the old WWE Network subscribers are even on Peacock, and we're probably never going to know. So next Thursday is fascinating to me.
Yeah, it's actually more than I think a lot of people are giving it credit for. It's a very, very interesting night. This next week is fascinating on many levels. Yeah, the Wednesday, the last night of the war or whatever, with a takeover up, like a not even just like hey, this is a big show, like branded as a takeover, built as a takeover, putting it on Wednesday. I mean, that absolutely no doubt in my mind. I think that they're going to beat NXT or AEW next week, but then like you're saying, then that Thursday is a really interesting one too, where Impact up against a lot of other wrestlers. I mean, that is the de facto kind of first night of the WrestleMania weekend as well, and there's a lot of stuff going on that night as well, and I guess we'll talk about that maybe a little bit more next week. Interest level, I don't know if we could say for sure the interest level of WrestleMania weekend this time, but there is still stuff. I mean, I think a Bloodsport is going on that day. There's a bunch of other stuff going on that day. Plus Impact bringing their goods with Kenny Omega, plus NXT bringing the second night of TakeOver. So yeah, it weirdly became over the last week or so a super interesting week and weekend really for wrestling and wrestling on TV and competitiveness and all that sort of stuff. And really, I don't think a lot of people are giving it enough credit, especially the Impact side. Loading it up with the Kenny Omega on the next night.
They're putting their best foot forward, debuting on the new night. And it's Kenny Omega and the Good Brothers versus Rich Swann, Eddie Edwards, and I think Willie Mack. They're doing what they can, but it's really a super tough night. And honestly, the interest in the crossover stuff the last 3 weeks has been waning. So it was time to get Kenny Omega back in the ring and do something with him other than a 30-second pre-tape interview or backstage attack, because people had gotten used to that pattern. They were like, all right, we see that nothing super important is ever going to happen with this guy. He's just going to make his little cameo appearance, if that. And it's not essential and we don't have to watch it. And that has really begun to tail off the effect of the AEW crossover stuff. So this will kickstart the build to Kenny Omega versus Rich Swann on pay-per-view. And it'll be interesting to see if Impact can get some momentum back now that, in theory, Kenny Omega will be more featured on the show moving forward because they have to build towards the pay-per-view match. And I think the pay-per-view will do very well. You only get one chance to do it for the first time, and they already did Kenny Omega on pay-per-view in the six-man tag, and it did very well by Impact standards. So it worked, and he did draw. But now this is Kenny Omega in a world title match that I think everyone pretty much agrees he's going to win. So I think there's going to be some interest there in seeing Kenny Omega win another company's title as he starts this sort of belt collector gimmick. Then he'll come out on Dynamite with the AAA world title and the Impact world title and the obviously the AEW world title, maybe even both of those the Impact title and the TNA title. I don't know if they've merge those officially, or for the gimmick though, why not have Omega come out with all of them?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Even if they have merged them, hopefully they're carrying around both those, and they tell Kenny, hey, when you win it, carry around both of these. So he's got 7 belts that he's got to carry. Don has to carry 2 of them. It's stuff like that would be perfect.
Yeah. So I think the pay-per-view versus Swan will do well. The rating next week, who knows? I feel bad for them because they're really in a tough spot there. But then moving forward, it's interesting to see. Okay, you're on Thursdays. You've got the night to yourself. You're ramping up. This Kenny Omega Rich Swann match. Presumably Omega will be on TV a lot, coming out of whatever happens in the tag. You see how Impact does, and you see if this crossover stuff with Omega can spark some interest again. I talk about it behind the paywall all the time, but I don't know if a lot of people are aware. Brandon Thurston on Twitter, he tweets, you got to follow him. It's essential if you're into this rating stuff. And he tweets it out every week. But Impact is the only show out of the 5 shows, Raw, SmackDown, NXT, Dynamite, Impact. It's the only one of the 5 that's been up in January, February, and March year over year versus the year before in 18 to 49. And that's a direct result. There's a direct correlation to Kenny Omega and the crossover stuff. But as we've gotten towards the end of March, it's started to wane.
Mm-hmm.
So it's interesting. Can they get people excited about that again? Because through December, when Omega debuted, through the rest of December, and from January through, mid-March, it legitimately helped bump Impact, particularly in 18 to 49, which, obviously is what matters most. So there was some juice there, and bringing in Finn Juice, no pun intended, that week did very well. So people are into the crossover stuff. They like when wrestlers from other companies come into, and why wouldn't they? That shit's exciting. That shit's fun. That's what makes wrestling fun. So there's obviously interest in that crossover stuff, but when you do, it started to lose some juice. So I want to see if they can kind of regain that lightning in a bottle as we build towards Omega and Rich Swann. So.
And I always think actually getting in the ring and actually wrestling and knowing that you're going to get, because that's one of the things that I think, we knew that from the debut, episode of Kenny Omega, the first time he bumped up on Impact or whatnot, is just merely having Kenny Omega talk for 30 seconds or appear. That's not, it's good. Like, it gets people at least somewhat interested, but it's not sustainable. What's really going to make it work is getting in the ring there and mixing it up. So I do really think that, if with the proper build, if they mention it on Dynamite, if Impact really hits it, as I'm sure they will, and you could kind of see they're already doing it, I think that they definitely stand to raise up a little bit. But they're up against a very tough night with this takeover too. That's Cole O'Reilly, it's Gargano versus the Gauntlet Eliminator, it's Balor versus Cross. That's a big night. arguably bigger night than night one, and it's kind of interesting. I would assume that NXT would really put as much as they could on that night one to kind of compete with AEW. And night one's got some really good matches. It's got Walter and Ciampa, it's got Dunn and Kushida, it's got Shirai and Gonzalez or whatever. But the big money match there is Cole and O'Reilly, and then Balor and Cross are both two pretty important matches. So I'm very surprised to see those both on night 2 and not one of those being used to go up against AEW. So
and again, we don't have any idea how many people are even on Peacock now for WWE.
Oh yeah, no clue. Yeah, who knows? Oh yeah, I guess you're right. That's going to be really an interesting thing to look at as well. Is like, and I guess we'll see from the buzz that goes on that night. But yeah, because this would be the first one that because the prior one was available on both, right? Some people still were able to watch it on both. I think like you got knocked out, right? From Fastlane, but I think I was able to watch Fastlane on the network.
Yeah, I think we're either at or coming up on the firm date where WWE Network is going to be gone for everybody. It was just people's subscriptions were slowly expiring.
Right. I think last week was the drop dead date. I think everybody is completely out.
I think it was today. Wasn't it April 1st? I don't know for sure, but the point
might be right. Yeah, I was out a week and a half ago officially, and yeah, I think this, I'm pretty sure this is this is obviously for America only when we're saying this, but people always freak out. What does it mean for me? It's only America, for now, by the way, but yeah, so that's done now. Like, you cannot fall back on the network. So now it's officially, okay, who has Peacock? Let's find out who's actually got this thing and who's ready to watch NXT on it. And it's another fascinating aspect about this Thursday thing as well.
look, we always knew how many people were subscribing to the network and how many people in North America were subscribing to the network at any given time. At least every quarter we knew, right? It's like we're never going to know now.
No
how
idea.
many people have converted from network to Peacock or anything else. Is that mine? Oh, thank you so much. You guys stopped and got this for me? Wow, what is it? Hey, Nolan. What did you guys get me? It's my Coke with, what is it? Coke Zero. My Coke Zero with cherry and chocolate, right? From Sonic.
Ooh.
Tremendous job. You guys know exactly what I like. Thank you. What'd you guys get?
We got strawberry drink.
You got a strawberry drink?
Yeah. Cherry.
And you got cherry?
No, we both got cherry.
Oh, you both got cherry. All right.
Mama got cherry.
Everybody got cherry.
Wow. Everybody got some Sonic, huh? Tremendous. Well, thank you so much, guys. All right, come here. You want to say anything? You never say anything. Why are you so shy? There's only a couple thousand people listening.
Yeah, it's fine. It's nothing.
I don't know why you're hiding. They can't see you. They can only hear you. You dope. Say something. Go ahead. Why don't you say hi to everybody?
Hi.
That's it? Just a generic hi? All right. I get it. You're shy. You're like your mother. I'm going to get your mother on here one day. That's going to happen. We'll do a show for the paywall. Oh, no? You got to get a couple drinks in you. You know, you got to loosen up.
Get a little.
Yeah. Oh, you have lots to say.
Oh, all right.
What, are you going to bury me? Okay. All right.
We don't want nice, though. We don't want it pretty nice. She's got to bury
No,
you.
she's going to bury me. I can
hope
see it
so.
in her
I
eyes.
hope so. You deserve it.
All right. All right. Good night. Thank you, guys. Going to enjoy this Coke Zero with cherry and chocolate flavoring here.
So explain what this is. This from where's the chocolate part come in?
Well, it's Sonic, so they've got the gimmick flavors they could put in the drinks. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So they know I like Coke Zero, so they got me the Coke Zero, and they got it with cherry and chocolate. So I guess I assume it's just chocolate syrup that they put in this thing, and the cherry syrup.
Okay, I was thinking it was maybe a shake or something like that, but no, it's a liquid form, a full liquid form. Okay,
they know what I stick to. No gimmicks. They know. Coke Zero.
It sounds like a great milkshake. That's what I was wondering, or a float. It'd be a great float too. Throw some chocolate ice cream into a cherry Coke Z. That's all I'm saying.
The Route 44 gimmick, the big one. You know, the daddy size.
Is that what it's called? Or yeah, I don't know. I'm not familiar. We don't have too much Sonics. We have one around here, but I don't go very often. So
I always pull up and I always say, all right, they have small, medium, large, and then like Route 44. But I always say, whatever. It's either Route 44 or Route 44, and I always say the wrong one because then they always correct me. Like, do you ever?
So I don't know. Is there an official word on that? Because I think I switch between the two as well, and I don't know if there's actually officially. Well, there might be an official verbiage for Sonic, is what I'm saying. I got it right.
Like, do you have? All right, is there? Everyone in their house has a light switch where you always pick the wrong one.
Yes. Oh yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, you can live in your house for 10 years, and you're always like, okay, I'm going to get it right this time.
It's one of my back steps. Yeah. So I have two switches. One turns the power on and off into my garage, and the other one turns a light on outside. And if you don't think I turn the power off in my garage every single time when I'm trying to turn that light on, every time, I've done it every day for the last 4.5 years, I have hit the wrong one, and I go, God damn it! And then the next day, I go, okay, the top one. The next day, boom, wrong one again. No matter what.
Yeah. Mine's a ceiling fan.
I got the yips.
I can't do it. Yeah. Mine is a ceiling fan and a lamp, right? And I'll want to turn one or the other on, and I will put my hands on my hips and stare, and I'll go, all right, Joe, you can get this
you
right.
You got this. You know it, Joe. You know it.
And without fail, every single time I get it wrong. That's like when I pull up to the Sonic window, I'm like, okay, do they call it route or do they call it route? And no matter what I say, the person on the other end says, like, corrects me and says the other one.
As if, like, they have no idea what you're ordering. If you say the Route 44, they're like, do you mean the Route 44? Yes.
Exactly. Like, obviously they know.
You know what I'm trying to say. Come on.
But they want to make you feel bad about it because, because everyone treats them like shit all day. So they
want to dunk on you.
back.
They want to dunk on you. Yeah.
Like the customers are just one big entity to them. They don't separate them out. And people are so mean to food service people that when they get a chance to be passive aggressive or nasty back, they take advantage of it. So when I pull up, and I'm very nice to these people, I mean, geez, I've been in this business, okay? And I say the wrong route, they're all over me because the guy in front of me was a jerk to them, you know? But listen, you just got to take it. I understand where they're coming from. But yeah, anyway, that's what I got here. Coke Zero, cherry and chocolate.
Enjoy.
So got the run in over with early tonight.
Yeah, they got in and got out. Yeah, they're looking for the ratings.
I think they're burning out the territory. I think I need to have a little chat. I mean, it's getting a little out of hand. Yeah, I think they're burning out the territory. They're overdoing the gimmick. It's like Kenny Omega on Impact. It's just the same thing every week.
I was going to say it's like Nitro. It's like the Nitro main events. It's like everyone listens to the show now and just is waiting for the run-in. You know what I mean? They don't even care what we're saying anymore. They care when is the run-in coming? When are the kids going to come in? Because then after the kids, that's when the show really gets going. So now they're going to have to learn how to work a little bit,
The problem is I put them over every time they come in here, so they think that they're over, so they want to come in.
Yeah, dude. They were at Sonic like, oh, we're going to get this for Dad, walk into the room and strut on in and tell him what we got, and he's going to ask what we got, and he's going to put us on the air. Like, yeah, they know. They're smart.
They want to get the big pop, they know they're going to get the big pop. So I think next time they come in, I should no-sell them and make them. You just no-sell them, right? And then they'll be like, oh, well, that wasn't any fun, so I don't want to come in anymore. But hey, listen, I did make him run away and cry a couple weeks ago, and that didn't work. He was right back at it the next week. So who knows? Yeah,
just maybe let them know that absence does make the heart grow fonder.
I'm telling you, they're burning out the territory. Yeah. They gotta, it might be time to move on. It's like.
But then but tell them though when they come back though after a little bit, then that's when the big pop really happens. These small little pops that they're getting, these small little things they're not. But yeah, if they come, they go away for 3 weeks and come back that fourth week, it's gonna be huge. So I
think I'm gonna have to. I gotta call them into the office. I gotta explain to them that I'm sending them off to Watts for 6 weeks.
Right.
They're gonna go work Mid-South for 6 weeks, and then we're gonna bring them back. And they might be a little disappointed because the payoffs are a little better here in the Lanza territory. But when they come back, it's gonna mean more, right? If they go off for a while, and it'll be good. They get to work with different podcasters down there in the Watts territory, and stretch their legs a little bit, do something a little different, and then maybe we can bring them back because they're really burning things out here. There's no question about it. But I think we were pretty much done with that topic anyway.
I think so. Yeah. That's NXT on Tuesdays, and definitely next week, and we'll talk about it a little bit more next week on our show that we do. But as we preview kind of the week coming up and the weekend coming up, but yeah, it's a fascinating WrestleMania weekend for a lot of reasons of despite what's actually going on in Tampa, just the wrestling landscape in general. This next week is really really interesting, and I'm excited to kind of talk about it and see if anything else drops. In the meantime, but move on to some other topics here. Before we do that, we do want to let you know that this episode of the Voices Wrestling Flagship Podcast is sponsored by MyBookie. And Joe, we let everybody know earlier today on our Twitter account at Voices Wrestling that MyBookie was giving free money away. They had an over/under of 0.5 runs scored in the Dodgers-Colorado Rockies game, and we said you better do this right now because this is free money. By the middle of the first inning, the Dodgers had scored, and everybody that took us up on our offer, they're all billionaires now. Is that correct?
Well, they're $25 richer because there was a $25
somewhere between 20. Yeah. Well, you know what? Hey, 25 billion, tomato, route. It's one and the same. But anyway, they're $25 richer because that was free money, and MyBookie does this stuff all the time. I am still working off my money that I got from that. What was it? Week 1 or week 2 of college football? There was that 1 week where every hour, every game slot, there was like a free, no doubt, like, hey, well, LSU scored 20 points in this game. It's like, of course LSU's going to score 20 points in this game. There was free money up and down the board. And yeah, I think I came in with $100 up on like legit just no doubt bets, like this 0.5 run scored thing in the Dodgers-Rockies game. So MyBookie does that for you. MLB season is kicking off. March Madness is still hot and heavy. We got the Final Four coming up. There is so many things you can do on MyBookie. You sign up today at mybookie.ag, use the promo code VOICES, and you secure your deposit bonus up to $1,000. Again, more free money. You give them $1,000. they're just going to give you $1,000 if you use that promo code VOICES. So again, free money. They're sure they're going to do more bets like this as well, things that you kind of have to be aware of and notice and see and go, oh, wow, that is an easy bet. That's a no-doubter. They do this stuff all the time because they want you to win so that you can go spend some more money and bet on some other stuff. But they're going to give you free money sometimes every so often. So again, that's promo code VOICES at mybookie.ag. You got college basketball. NBA is still hot and heavy. The playoffs coming up pretty quickly here. MLB has now kicked off, so you can start getting that involved in that. NHL, no matter the sport, no matter the minute, MyBookie puts the action in your hands. Live in-game betting as well. Lines and odds all day, every day, allowing you to turn game day into payday. I fucked it up anyway. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere with MyBookie. MyBookie.ag, promo code VOICES. So yes, I am also $25 richer now thanks to your you noticing that free bet as well. We told people. And it literally took like 3 batters for it to cash in. So
did they score in the first? I wasn't paying attention.
I think it was either the first or the second. It was pretty early. I think. Well, was it that? I think it might have been the Cody Bellinger thing. Where did you watch the highlight of that yet?
Yeah. So that happens more than people think. So he explained this to people. So he hit a home run with a man on first. Justin Turner's on first base. Bellinger hits a home run. Turner wasn't sure if the ball went over the fence or not because I think it bounced back onto the field. And he started retreating back to first base. He was confused. Bellinger accidentally passed him, during his home run trot. You cannot pass a base runner on the base pads or you're out, even if you hit a home run. So that is scored a single for Bellinger. He gets credit for a single and an RBI. Justin Turner's run counts. Okay? So Turner gets credit for a run. Bellinger gets credit for a single and an RBI, but then Bellinger is also charged with a base running out at first base. Got all that, Rich?
Yes. So you can be a homer and a single at the same time. It's fascinating. Yes.
I saw that in 1980, I want to say 84 or 85 when I was a little kid. Bobby Meacham of the Yankees hit a home run with runners on first and second. And during his home run trot, he just caught up to the guy that was on second base, and he passed him. It wasn't a situation where the runner was confused like Turner today. He was just being a wise guy and decided to pass his teammate, and they yanked that home run off the board. And I think that may have cost them the game because his run didn't count.
Yeah.
So Bobby Meacham is also the same guy. We have plenty of time to go off tangent when we're doing a short show. But anyway, Bobby Meacham is also the same guy who in 1984 comes into the game for the Yankees as a defensive replacement at shortstop. Okay. He makes a fielding or throwing error that cost the Yankees 2 runs, and they lose by a run. George Steinbrenner goes nuts, demands that he not only be sent to the minors, but sent all the way to Double-A for the rest of the season. So a lot of wackiness with Bobby Meacham. Have you ever heard of Bobby Meacham before?
I have. Yeah, I have. Yeah, he's mostly because, like you're saying, it was against the White Sox, I believe, was the play. That
throwing error?
The throwing error. That's how I think I remember that. And I remember. Well, the reason I remember too is I think Billy Martin has like a great quote about it too, where like Barry, he just buries the fuck out of him too. Like, that's like amateur hour stuff. That's like grade school shit. Like, I'm surprised they didn't just. I mean, you should have just outright released him at that point. Like, don't. Why? But I think it's even more humiliating to make him go to Double-A instead of just releasing him. You know what I mean? But
kind of harsh with the throwing error. I mean,
I mean, let's come on. But I mean,
there's a third wacky Bobby Meacham play. I don't know if you know anything about this one.
Go ahead, yeah.
Okay, so Bobby Meacham and Dale Berra are on base. Okay, that's Yogi Berra's son. Okay, there's a ball hitting the gap. Confusion on the base pads. Berra's holding up at third for some reason, even though the third base coach is waving him in. Meacham's on his tail. Now, both guys are now headed for home plate, like right behind
Sorry,
one another.
This is the White Sox play. Sorry, I mixed it up. This is the one with the White Sox. Because Carlton Fisk has them both, right?
Carlton Fisk tags them both out at the plate.
They play that highlight. That's how I know it. Sorry, I mixed my plays up. They show that play before every White Sox game for the last 30 years, basically, is Carlton Fisk sitting there going boom, boom, tagging both guys as they're walking by. And I remember as a kid being like, now how the fuck does that happen? Like, how does that, like, 2 men in the professional baseball rings trying to cross home plate at the same time. How in the world does that happen? And yeah, that's how I looked it up. So sorry, I mixed up my plays. That's how I know Bobby Meacham. So
well, Bobby Meacham's been involved in like 3 freak plays
right,
all in a 1-year span.
Yeah, Jesus.
You know, so yeah, that's
it's an awesome play too. If you've never seen it, the Carlton Fist tagging out both guys because one guy he's like backs to him, and he just kind of like barrels into him from behind, and then the other guy's running up and tries to slide around him, and he tags him too, and then he just like pumps his fist, and the crowd goes nuts. It's awesome. It's a really cool moment.
Yeah, that is on. It's either on YouTube or someone did clip it and put it on Twitter because I just watched it today. So, it's that's definitely a play you could watch. I couldn't find Meacham passing the runner on the home run though, but it happened with Bellinger today. And if people are confused, that's why. Even on a home run, you cannot pass another runner on the base pads or you're out.
Yes.
I mean,
if you play slow pitch softball, you will inevitably see it like 5 times a season. Like it's a constant in slow pitch softball. I don't know why, because obviously it's just a bunch of idiots playing, fake baseball. But yeah, it happens all the time in slow pitch because you never know when a home run's gonna be hit. You don't know the sound. It's just like the guys don't pay attention. It's just it happens all the time. I don't know if it costs any games, at least that I remember, but certainly happens a lot. So, or you hope the ump doesn't see or the ump doesn't really notice, and then you just kind of you go, fuck, shit, go, run, and the ump doesn't really look because he doesn't care either. So,
did you know Dale Berra's number is retired by the Yankees?
Is it really?
Well, he wore number 2.
Oh,
so
right. So,
Jeter wore that one later.
So it was a dual retirement for Dale and Jeter, I'm sure.
May as well have been. I mean, Dale Berra with his let's see. He his 230, 285, 336 slash as a Yankee.
Eek.
So
yeah, this does not look very good. These numbers look pretty terrible for old Dale Berra, but all right, let's get into some other stuff here. That is NXT. You want to talk? We got ROH, we got Andrade, we got New Japan. Where do you want to go here?
I guess we should touch on Andrade, right?
Yeah, we're in WWE land, so let's talk about that. Obviously, he did an interview with Lucha Libre Online earlier this week. Hugo Savinovich doing this interview with Andrade. It's been translated many, many times over as well. Some people picked up some certain highlights and stuff here and there. Before we kind of go over stuff that we found interesting or we found particularly worth talking about, what did you take away from this interview? Because it was the talk of the wrestling world for about 24 hours here, and for many, many reasons as well.
I mean, none of it really shocked me. It's like we talked about. The guy just wanted to wrestle, and they didn't want to use him. And then they pitched him a bunch of shitty ideas they didn't like, so it just became a standoff. And I guess it helped him that he's paired up with Charlotte, right? I mean, because she's got a little bit of stroke, and if she's telling him to let him go, then I guess that helps. But a lot of the things that he said, a lot of things that he revealed, didn't really shock me. I mean, he was one of the guys that refused to go back to Saudi Arabia, which who could blame him? He said he left $3 million on the table, which a lot of people got confused and thought that he was getting $3 million a year. He was not. I think what he meant was he had $3 million remaining on his contract, however many years it was. But what that does tell you is he was signed long term.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So he had at least 3, 4, 5, somewhere in that range years left on his deal that he wanted out of. But the fact that he's going around spilling the tea, as the kids say, Rich, and that they didn't give him a 90-day non-compete pretty much tells you that something must have happened with this guy that has yet to come out. Because why are they bending over backwards to, other than possibly the Charlotte factor, to, number one, let him go to begin with, give him no 90-day non-compete. He's out there talking shit on the company, so there's no what do you call it?
Like an NDA or non-disclosure thing or whatever, especially the Saudi Arabia stuff. I mean, that we'll talk about here in a bit. I mean, I would have said, okay, you can go, but please don't tell people that you were held hostage on an airplane in an airport in Saudi Arabia. And he pretty much right out of the gates is like, yeah, it fucking sucked that we were held hostage. So we will talk about that in a bit. But yeah, he's out there shooting.
Yeah, and he got everything he wanted. So do you think there is something that they did agree to that he isn't allowed to talk about? Because this just seems like
Well, I mean, if hey, we mistakenly told your girlfriend that she was pregnant even though she wasn't, I mean, and you can talk about being held hostage in an airport. I don't know how many other things there really are. So you're right. I don't know if it was this.
When have they ever been in a scenario where they gave everyone everything they wanted on a silver platter like this, and just with many years? I mean, they left Pac on ice for 9 months. They jerked Brody Lee around for how long? The only people that they really just let go free and clear without much push and pull were people that they saw zero value in, like Sean Spears, Dustin Rhodes, who they just figured we have no use for these guys and they're not going to be difference makers anyway.
Austin Aries all those years ago as well.
Yeah, but anybody that they perceived had any value whatsoever, which they obviously this guy does, and he's going to get a huge money contract from somebody and be a potential difference maker. It's never been this easy to get away. So that tells me there has to be something else beneath the surface here. I'm not trying to start rumors or anything like that. It's just suspicious to me that they gave him what he wanted, number one, didn't give him a 90-day non-compete, number two, and obviously he doesn't have any kind of non-disclosure agreement because he's out there doing multiple interviews. He did a couple. He did another one the other night. He did one with Hugo. And then he did another one the other night with a bunch of, I guess, a press. He did he set up his own presser with the Mexican press and did a second long interview session, like from his living room, because you can see Charlotte walking around in the background. So I don't know. There's something weird about this one.
Is it simply the Charlotte factor? Is it simply her saying, "Hey, you're going to do this because I said so," type stuff? I don't know. She probably has that power, you know what I mean? Especially after this pregnancy thing, if they, her team kind of confirmed that, or she kind of confirmed that, or whatever. I like that you were joking about that too. Charlotte Flair's team, as if it's not just like Charlotte Flair, making a tweet like she's got a team of publicists, working for her or whatever. But she was out there and saying, yeah, that news is true. Here's kind of the clarification of that. Maybe it's that, maybe it's simply just, hey, you did this to me, and you are not doing right to me or my fiance type thing, and if you want me to hang around here and if you want me to still be part of this future here, then you're going to let him do that. Is it simply that? Is it simply Rick and Charlotte having that much pull?
It has to be.
Those other guys you mentioned don't have that. You know what I mean? Like Sean Spears is going to, Peyton Royce is going to say, hey, no, you know what? You're going to let Sean do whatever. And they're like, fucking who cares? Whatever, go away, do whatever. You know what I mean? I don't think people have that. And Charlotte is obviously somebody that they value and they've put so much into and so much equity into that I don't think they want to throw that away just to do some petty little stuff with this guy and not let him, out of his contract, or not let him do this, or not let him say this, or all that sort of stuff. That's got to be it. I mean, I can't imagine there's anything else. I mean, he straight up says, I didn't know English and that's why they wouldn't push me. You know what I mean? What else is there? There's essentially, him saying, well, because I'm a Mexican, they were not going to push me. They told my fiance she was pregnant when she wasn't, and we were held hostage in Saudi Arabia. What else? I mean, God bless. I would hope there's nothing else.
Yeah, but it's weird, though, because at the same time, he went on to say that he thinks they do treat some of the other Spanish-speaking guys well. So that kind of contradicted what he said about himself. So that was kind of weird. And the Charlotte thing, she immediately put out a statement to kind of put out that fire to kind of clarify, saying some of the stuff was lost in translation, where the doctors flagged her for potentially being pregnant or something. Not necessarily that they told her, hey, you're pregnant, but that she got flagged to where she may have been pregnant. So she very quickly put out a PR thing to kind of squash that, because that looked really bad.
Yes and no, but I think what was telling to me about the Charlotte response, and I have it here as well, is the last two paragraphs. The first paragraphs were like, oh, hey, here's what happened. My levels came back high, and they thought maybe it was a pregnancy thing, and then I took other things, and it confirmed that there was no pregnancy, and yada, yada, yada. Those last two paragraphs, though, are I think, pretty poignant, and she didn't need to include those. It was done. She said, she said her piece, she said what it was, she kind of got it out of the way right away. These last two paragraphs, though, quote, this put a lot of context for her, mainly how small a woman's career window is. The men are able to work well into their 50s, while the women are seen as, quote, older in their early 30s even. For an athlete in her prime, these years mean everything. Her issue was with the process and how the information was relayed as opposed to the information itself.
Yeah. So she clearly wasn't thrilled with it either. Yeah. But I think she
the
just
first
wanted
4
to get
paragraphs were, hey, no, it was a mix up, yada, yada, yada. The last 2 were, yeah, but this should never fucking happened.
Yeah, I think maybe she didn't want him to get in any kind of legal trouble for saying that they told her she was pregnant when they didn't technically tell her she was pregnant.
Right,
I think
right.
that's what she was clarifying, because they suspended her. They gave her a medical suspension because of elevated levels of, I'm not looking at it, you are. But
HCG levels.
Yeah, so there was the possibility that she was pregnant, so they medically suspended her. He said, or at least the people who translated what he said, was that he flat out said they told her she was pregnant. So I think that's why she wanted to clear that up. Did you think it was funny, too, how that tweet that went out said Charlotte's team contacted us and put this, who was it, Alex McCarthy? I think
I think it was Alex McCarthy. That's why I joked about Charlotte's team, as if there's this these 5 PR people all walking up to Charlotte. All right, what do you want us to say? What do you want us to say? yeah. It's definitely just Charlotte emailing Alex McCarthy and saying, here, say this.
I mean, does she really have, what is she, Manny Pacquiao? What do you mean Charlotte's team?
Charlotte's representation said, I love that idea of, these 5 people in power suits all walking up. Okay, Charlotte, what do you want us to say? What's the PR spin like?
Yeah, I mean,
getting into a boardroom and closing the door behind them. All right, how are we going to handle this, guys?
Charlotte picked out a reporter she liked, and she sent him an email. I mean, what is Charlotte's team?
Yeah,
she had a team.
Aflair at gmail.com is who the team was. You know what I mean?
And if she has a team, she doesn't need one. Okay, she doesn't need one. These WWE wrestlers are so sheltered in this bubble and not allowed to. Like, what do they need a team for? They'll do the PR for you. So if she's paying a team, she probably shouldn't, But yeah, so, it was just, and there was a ton more just crazy little things that anyone outside of wrestling would think are crazy. But none of it really shocked me, a lot of the things that he had to say.
No, we're past this point, man. I mean, it's the same stuff Big Show said. It's the same stuff Ambrose said. It's the same stuff Jericho said. I mean, everybody has kind of the same basic premise, and all these people have largely said, I just kind of want to wrestle, and I they say come up with ideas, we come up with ideas, and nobody cares. So it's like, all right, well then there's nothing to do here for me. So it sucks. I mean, it's the same. You shouldn't be surprised when these things come out anymore, and people are kind of taken aback every single time. Oh my god, gasp! It's the same thing from all these guys. Christian, just I want to be treated well, and I want to work, and I want to wrestle. Not that hard. That's really a lot of what these guys are asking for. None of these guys say I should have been main eventing WrestleMania. I should have been doing that. Andrade straight up, I think, says that. Charlotte and him pitched a bunch of ideas that they could maybe get involved together and do some stuff. And it was just no, we're not going to use you. We're not going to draft you. You're injured. He's like, you cleared me. Well, no, you're still injured. You're fine. Okay. All right. Well, I'll just sit home then, I guess, and not do anything, even though I'm an asset. So yeah, it's the same story with all these guys. So yeah, I don't know why anybody would be surprised anymore.
Yeah. So he'll be on the move. We kind of talked about it either last week or the week before. I still think ROH is the front runner. I think some whispers came out that is actually the truth at this point. But he has offers on the table from New Japan. Obviously, AEW has called him, but I still think ROH is the front runner. I think he wants to go to ROH and work with his boys. Why wouldn't he? He's been locked in the house all this time. He wants to wrestle. He's frustrated. Maybe he wants to go have some fun with people he likes and where he knows he's going to get pushed. It doesn't have to be a permanent stop. It doesn't have to sign a 5-year deal with Ring of Honor. And, if you sign with Ring of Honor, they've got those ties with New Japan, and they're very open to allowing you to sign a dual contract. You can get big money from both of them, And, AEW has been willing to bend over backwards for people who wanted to work Japan as well. So I'm sure they'd be willing to talk when it comes to that, because I think it's clear that this guy wants to work New Japan. He flat out said it, that he wants to work New Japan. And I think it's becoming more and more apparent that he'd like to go to Ring of Honor and work with his buddies. So,
we'll talk about it a bit when we talk about the 19th, but I'm all for. I mean, that is honestly, if I were to pick a spot that I would want to see him in, that's the spot I want to see him in for sure.
Where?
A Ring of Honor for sure. I think that's it. I think it helps Ring of Honor more than it helps any of these other companies to have Andrade. because that's a bona fide star that they can add to their roster, add and immediately push him and immediately do stuff with him. Like you said, from his end, there's no like, oh, you gotta kind of work your way up or kind of fit in. It's like, boom, from day one, like, you're already a top guy. You're already a top guy. You're probably going to have some sort of ability to control what you're going to be doing and have some sort of say in how your character's going to be working, because they're going to roll out the red carpet for you if you're Ring of Honor. I mean, they are desperate for guys that have that sort of ability, that sort of draw, that sort of whatever. So yeah, it's like, to me, it's an absolute no-brainer. And like you said, that the Ring of Honor is and has been sort of open to you doing some other stuff and moving some other places and doing other things. To me, yeah, that's a no-brainer for Ring of Honor. I think it benefits him and it benefits them more than it benefits almost any other company. So I hope so. That'd be a really cool move.
At one point, Ring of Honor was willing to spend a lot of money. Sinclair was willing to spend a lot of money on Ring of Honor contracts. I don't know if that's changed after a year of not generating any revenue while paying all of these people that were under contract. I mean, they obviously have been running in the red since the pandemic started. So I don't know if Sinclair now looks at it as, being far less willing to say yes to Joe Koff when he wants to, make a big signing, as opposed to pre-pandemic where Ring of Honor was really making moves and had the blessing of their bosses at Sinclair to do so. I don't know if that's the case anymore. Whereas if Tony Khan really wants to make this deal happen, obviously if he really wants it to happen, he can make the call to break AEW's budget and make the signing. He's got the money. So if it comes down to money, obviously Sinclair versus the Khans is a very interesting battle, but I think that, Sinclair has, like we talk about all the time, Ring of Honor is such a small part of their business, right? And I guess you could make the same argument for the Khans, where they have their hands in a bunch of different things, but this is Tony Khan's passion project. So if he wants to make this happen bad enough, I think that he will find a way to make it happen if it comes down to choosing between Ring of Honor and AEW. And you would think that New Japan, the freedom to work New Japan, would be there with either company, right? But Tony Khan's going to want you there every Wednesday. That's the thing.
Right.
Like, you might get the Moxley or Jericho deal where you can work, the big shows a couple times a year and maybe a G1 tour or something, right? But he's going to want you there pretty much every Wednesday, especially if he's paying you gigantic money. Whereas Ring of Honor, there's a lot more downtime in between Ring of Honor tours and Ring of Honor TV, where you can go to Japan for 6 weeks.
Right. You can go to Mexico. You can do shots in Mexico. Yes. We saw half the people that are on the Ring of Honor show on Friday were also at the same time doing a show in Mexico. So, yeah, that was another example right there.
Yeah, and he talked a lot about Mexico, and he talked about some new group wanting to start up, which you hear that talk out of Mexico all the time. I'll believe it when I see it. But I think the bigger money is obviously you want to get Sinclair and Tony Khan into a bidding war, and then get New Japan into the mix. And I think that's where your biggest money is going to be. And then, I think he even said, he flat out that he's not interested in signing a contract in Mexico, which makes sense. Why would you?
Oh yeah. There's no reason to. Yeah. You'll make big money. You'll be able to work anywhere you want in Mexico, anytime you want in Mexico, but you sign the deal in America.
Yes.
And when you have a free weekend, you tell whatever company, hi, I'm free this weekend, pay me money and I'll come wrestle for you. And
you could do big money shots in Mexico.
Right, exactly.
Absolutely. That's the way to play it. So it seems to me he's playing everything the correct way. So for all we know, his alleged interest in Ring of Honor could just be a negotiating tactic.
Yeah.
I don't know. Which, wouldn't be the dumbest thing in the world to, jack up your asking price if your, destination, in your heart is AEW. But who knows? I mean, we talked if he popped up at Impact or something, how that might cool him off. We talked about that last week. Do you think if he pops up in Ring of Honor and does a couple months there just to get that out of his system and work with some of his buddies, do you think that cools him off if then he goes to AEW from there? I don't know the answer to that.
It's interesting. Yeah, I don't know. I would say initially yes, but I also I need to bake in there that if he does appear on Ring of Honor, that's a big boon to Ring of Honor. And maybe that doesn't, right now as presently constructed, yeah, that would feel like it's a letdown. It'd feel like, all right, he's going to do Ring of Honor for a little bit and then he's going to go. But there's a chance that he goes into Ring of Honor and it makes it a lot of fun. It makes it pretty awesome. It makes it interesting. It makes it, you know what I mean? Like, and then that would change the whole trajectory then if he comes out and he's hot and Ring of Honor's hot and all that sort of stuff. If he comes to Ring of Honor right now and they're in front of no audience and they're in kind of a warehouse and he's just kind of doing shows that no one's really watching, then yeah, that would suck. But yeah, we need to bake in the idea that maybe he comes there and does something really, really fucking cool, and Ring of Honor gets that buzz. And this is a week as well. Like if they followed up with what I thought was a really good show that we're going to talk about here in a bit, with a pretty cool closing angle, and then they followed up, in a few weeks here with the debut of Andrade. I mean, they now have become a player again in a company that is worth keeping an eye on, and a company that is worth kind of getting some buzz. So yeah, I think that could sort of change it as well. He's that type of guy that I think will change that trajectory a little bit, where it wouldn't seem as much of a downgrade, because he's coming to Ring of Honor, because he's going to add some juice to it and get it going. So,
hey, listen, they're keeping Roosh happy. They're keeping Dragon Lee happy, right? And guys like Roosh aren't working for pennies. And you've got that, theoretically, you have that Marty Scurll salary slot available. I mean, they were paying Marty Scurll up until a couple of months ago, and they were paying him a lot of money. So if that was already kind of in the budget, well, you're not paying anybody that slot. It's kind of like NBA with the salary slots, right? You've got this salary slot that's open that this guy would fit very nicely into, right? It kind of makes sense.
Absolutely.
But again, I don't know if because of not generating any money for the last year that they're now in budget slashing mode. But they did re-sign all of these guys whose contracts came up.
Yeah, it's not. They're not in budget cutting mode. Yeah, I mean, whether they're in budget adding mode, we don't know. But like you're saying, they re-signed Bandito, they re-signed Rush, they re-signed Horus, they brought in Flamita. I mean, they've been bringing in guys, they've been keeping guys, and new people coming in all the time. Dickinson now obviously in the mix as well. So they're not in cost cutting mode. But yeah, whether they have the money to give Andrade what he is going to need or what he's going to really want and what he actually probably deserves, based on the market value, I don't know. I can't answer that right now, but I'd imagine that they're in the room. We know that, and we know that they're going to give it their best effort. And whether he, decides to go to the highest bidder, and that highest bidder is AEW or New Japan or whatever, that's fine. But I right now as present, I don't see a reason why Ring of Honor can't get involved in that, and really should hopefully be able to sell it to themselves. Is that, yeah, this could be a pretty big deal for us and could be something that really gets us going. And we'll talk about that 19th anniversary in a second here, but that Bandito Flamita Horus match on the three-way was fucking awesome. So it's like, and Roosh is your world champion, and if you really want to hit that market, especially with MLW not really being, as much as they were a couple years ago, hitting that market. I mean, you could definitely sell that. Hey, when things go back to normal and things are kind of, semi-okay, we have, 2 of 3 or 4 of the biggest draws in Mexico in our company right now. And there's a way that we can turn this into, money by drawing in certain places or going and doing tours in Mexico. I mean, there's a lot of ways to sell it if you need to get over that, hey, how do we, if we're going to spend $1 more million than our budget, well, here's the reason why. And here's kind of the cost analysis of yes, it's going to cost us $1 million more than our budget or whatever. But I think that X, I think that we can, so I don't know. If I'm Ring of Honor, I do whatever I can until it just becomes completely implausible to do it. And that number might come, that number might be there, but I really do my best effort to try to get him, because I really do think that's a huge asset to that company.
I think there's no question he works New Japan this year. I mean, that's going to happen no matter what. I mean, he could go do that right now while he's mulling his options, because they'll take him back, and he's openly stated that he wants to go. So, I mean, he's going to work New Japan in 2021. They're going to find a way to work him into their plans. And, as soon as Mexico gets cranking up again, he's going to work, he'll go to the highest bidder and do shots down there and work all the big shows. So, Japan and Mexico, he's set. It's just a matter of, what big money contract he signs and with who. So it's going to be fun to watch play out. Without the 90-day non-compete, we could have this news come down at any time.
Yeah, it's cool.
He could pop up anywhere. So, something to look forward to there. I guess maybe we should just do. You want to just do the Ring of Honor?
Yeah,
show
I was about to say we talked enough about Ring of Honor. Let's get right into it. The 19th anniversary show that was on Friday. from, again, still an empty arena, but Ring of Honor has at least added a little bit of noise, I guess. Not really. I suppose they really haven't. It's still, the atmosphere still kind of stinks for Ring of Honor, and that's the one thing I'm saying I think that's kind of holding them back right now. But when it was done, I really liked the show. I thought this 90th anniversary show was really cool. It got me excited about Ring of Honor for the first time in a long time. I think Ian and Riccoboni and Caprice Coleman are awesome announcers. You had Rocky Romero there that added just another bit of real good commentary. I thought the work up and down the card was really good. I thought the stories were good. I even liked the cinematic matches. I couldn't believe it in this night. But this I thought was a tremendous pay-per-view for Ring of Honor. I mean, there was probably two matches that really stood out to me that I would say were like tremendous matches. But I thought it was an easy watch, a good watch, and I was excited about just about everything I saw, save for about one match that I could take or leave. But what'd you think of this show?
Yeah, I look, the atmosphere stinks. They're way behind in that regard. It's just an empty warehouse, no piped-in crowd noise, no atmosphere whatsoever, which in some ways fits the Ring of Honor aesthetic, but it really makes it a hard watch when I got to sit down and watch 4 hours worth of wrestling. You know, if you're going to sit there and watch the pre-show and then watch the 3-hour pay-per-view, it's you need all of the matches to be good, and luckily all of them were. I mean, for the most part, I'm looking at it now, I don't see anything that I thought was bad.
Yeah, there's one match that I think you probably could have cut about half of it off. Briscoe and EC3, I think you could have cut a little bit of time off from that. I didn't hate it, but I didn't need it to be 20 minutes.
I could see the argument for cutting some time, but that exceeded my expectations because I think EC3 is just completely washed up, and I don't think he was that great to begin with. And I think every match with him is going to be a struggle or is going to need to have some shortcuts, and I thought it was better than I thought it was going to be. I'll say that. Did it need to be 20 minutes? Yeah, probably not. But I don't see a bad match on this show. I did watch the pre-show, and that's where Shane Taylor Promotions won the 6-man titles from the Mexa Squad, and then they shot the. Did you watch that or no?
I did. I actually did watch the pre-show as well. It was free on YouTube. Yeah, it was free on YouTube. Nice and easy to watch. That was good. The pre-show was awesome because they had all the hype videos and stuff. That got me excited. Yeah, I'm glad I watched it. I was really excited for the pay-per-view once I watched that.
Yeah, so Mexa Squad lost the titles, and then they're kind of blaming each other for the loss. And then I guess it was Bandito and Flamita got in a shoving match, and then Horus stepped in between them, and he's like, why don't we just have a match later?
Yeah, you know what? Let's just fucking fight each other.
Yeah, which, I don't know, doesn't make a ton of sense, but fuck it. Why not? I mean...
Yeah, I'd maybe talk it up. I'd maybe talk it over a little bit instead of just, 3 hours later getting into a fight. Like, you might want to, hey, let's maybe try one more time, or and they just decide, you know what? Fuck it, let's just fight each other. Let's get in the ring and fucking beat each other up. So
the funny thing is, Horus wasn't even the guy in the dispute, and he's the one saying, fuck it, let's all fight.
He just wanted to fight. So, hey.
Yeah. So they added that 3-way to the pay-per-view, which I thought was kind of smart to set up a match like that for the pay-per-view at the end of the free portion, because you might get some buys from people who are like, oh shit, I want to see that 3-way, so that was kind of clever to run a little angle at the end of that. I hate when these companies, they have a pre-show and then they don't do anything on it to try to talk you into buying the show, shoot an angle, do something creative. And that's what they did here. So, I thought that was cool. And I was excited to see a 3-way later. And then there was that 4-way too, where Brian Johnson, it was Eli, Isom, LSG, and Danhausen. So
that was fun. I enjoyed that match. I mean, it wasn't good, but yeah, Brian Johnson, man, I like that. It's some nice heat. That's a guy that I could see. I was interested in him in that match. I mean, he's not great. He's not technically great, but I love the shit talking. I love and it works. He is a guy that almost I'll be very interested to see when crowds come back if he can kind of translate that. But it's pretty fun in an empty arena setting because he's just yelling the entire time. And Ian and Caprice are just like, shut up, dude, get in the ring and get in there. And I won't lie, the Danhausen, I was actually pretty interested in him in this match as well. So
hey, listen, if that's his slot, he's fine.
Yeah, oh for sure.
I have no problem with Danhausen as a prelim comedy guy. I just don't want him in main events. I don't want him pushed. You put him on pre-shows like this, where he does his silly spots. It's totally inoffensive to me. But yeah, let's go through this show. We don't have to get super detailed because we got a lot to get to, and we got about an hour left. So Kenny King loses Dragon Lee's television title
It stinks for Dragon Lee.
to Tracy Williams. So Tracy Williams and Dragon Lee are already building a match on Twitter. Tracy Williams claiming that his surgery was unnecessary because the story there is he couldn't fly in because there was something going on with his ears or something.
Yeah, he had some sort of ear infection or had some ear surgery or whatever, so he couldn't fly. So yeah, Tracy quote unquote shooting on him and saying, yeah, you're avoiding me with your stupid ear infection type thing. So yeah, good little story.
Yeah. So they ended up changing the title there. So Dragon Lee has a gripe because he didn't actually lose it. And really, every match on this show was pretty good. I mean, there was a couple I thought were better than the rest, but nothing on this show to me was bad. Next was Flip Gordon beating Mark Briscoe. They went about 7 minutes, and it's exactly what you'd expect out of Flip Gordon and Mark Briscoe. I mean, it was just a good, solid match.
Yeah, I have nothing to add. It really, really good stuff. Didn't overstay its welcome. Exactly what it needed to be.
Yeah, I think people are too hard on Flip. I don't know why people. Well,
he's a dork. Yeah, he's an absolute dork
Yeah,
on Twitter. But yeah, as a wrestler, he's fine. But that's one of the problems that we don't separate the two.
Yeah,
sometimes
yeah,
it becomes difficult. And he's very much a dork on Twitter. So I get it. It's hard. Yeah. But I try to when he comes out, go okay, forget what he does on Twitter. Just appreciate him as a wrestler. And I do like him a lot. I just think I don't know if he's some guys that's not justified as much. He's right on the edge of being somewhat justifiable.
I guess. I don't know. I'm just a different breed. I never think about this stuff when I'm watching people wrestle. I don't care that he thinks the earth is flat. Rich, I don't care at all. Like, it doesn't matter to me when I'm watching him wrestle or when I'm watching an actor act or a baseball player play baseball or some guy play bass in a band. I don't care what they think about anything. Dance, monkey dance, entertain me. That's really all I care about. So, I mean, I don't know. I never think about this shit. But, yeah, I don't know. Guy's a goober, but it doesn't matter. I don't care that he was a troop. I mean, that whole troop, none of that matters to me at all. I just want to watch people wrestle. Anyway, the match was fine. Daunt Castle versus Josh Woods. Daunt Castle just re-signed, by the way. So that's another example of Ring of Honor maybe maybe not necessarily cutting budget, because if they were, these are the kind of guys you'd let walk if you're looking to save a little bit of money. But Josh Woods is an interesting guy. I mean, he's doing this whole thing with Silas Young. They never really get behind him and push him, but it would be somebody who would be homegrown. But the story here was Woods is like a shooter, but everyone forgets that Dalton Castle has this great amateur wrestling background.
Yes. Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So
right.
So it was a nice little story. He was able to thwart a lot of Woods' shit. And the idea was Woods thought he was going to roll over this broken down shell of a man, and I'm this shooter, and but Dalton Castle has all these legitimate wrestling skills as well. So, again, a decent little match. We talked a little bit about Jay Briscoe, EC3. Rich thought it went a little long. I thought by EC3 standards, it exceeded my expectations. Jay Briscoe, a guy who is clearly on the downside of his career. I think he's lost a step. I think that's fair to say. He's not what he was even 5 years ago, I don't think. So I was very concerned about this match coming in, and especially for the length that it went, I thought EC3 did very well.
Yeah, EC3 is an interesting case of I mean, obviously $1 million wrestling look. I mean, just an incredible specimen of a man this EC3 is. It's unbelievable. And you wish that there was maybe a little more. I hate this character that he's doing right now. I just don't know that it works. It's kind of strange. It's kind of weird. Nobody's quite sure exactly what it is. Nobody's quite sure what they're supposed to react like or how they're supposed to take it or whatever. I don't know. I'm in a weird spot with him right now because I do think that there's value there. And I do think for a company like a Ring of Honor, there's absolutely a value to using somebody like an EC3 and trying to maximize what you have out of him, because not many people look like him. You know what I mean? He's got that eye-popping look and just a look that stops you in your tracks and you go, holy shit, what the hell? Like, look at that guy. It's just something's missing there. I don't know if it's just his motivation level. I don't know if it's just what he can actually do in the ring, and maybe, you need something else to kind of clear, you're right, though, that this match probably over-delivered a little bit. I just don't think I would ever put EC3 in a 20-minute match, even against somebody as good as Jay Briscoe, even somebody, a little bit broken down like Jay Briscoe these days. He just can't go at that sort of level for that long, EC3, without it becoming a little too mundane and a little too long in the tooth. But there's something there. I wouldn't give up on him, but I just don't know. I don't know what I do with him either. Like, I definitely sign him, but then I'm not sure what I do with him with EC3.
EC3, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, he does jump off the screen, and he has some creative ideas. Yeah, I don't know. It's tricky. I don't know either. So then we had the 3-way with Bandito, Flamita, and Ray Horus, and this was fucking bonkers.
Oh my God.
What do you want me to say?
Yeah, this is classic. Like, this is awesome, like classic wrestling. This is the type of stuff that I absolutely love. Bell rings and these three dudes just do a bunch of shit for 10 minutes, and every single next thing they do is more incredible than the thing they did a minute earlier, and it's just it peaks. Bandito gets the win, doesn't overstay its welcome. At no point can you catch your breath, and then it's over, and you're left going, oh my God, what did I just watch? That was incredible. I mean, this is one that I feel there's probably people listening to this that have not seen this match, or people listening to this that had no plans on watching this match or watching the Ring of Honor 19th anniversary show. There's we're going to talk about a lot of stuff that you know on the show that was good, that we liked or whatever. Watch this match. Seriously. Whatever way you can do it, however you can do it, watch this match. I think you'll be blown away by how good it was. And I'm not seeing enough love for this match. To me, it was just that good. No, was it a match of the year contender? Absolutely not. But just to show that there are still guys out there that can do stuff you've never seen before, and guys that just have gifts beyond your wildest dreams. And that's what these three guys were on this night.
Yeah, they just, this was a spot fest. Let's not, let's call it what it is. But when guys are this talented, there's room for that on a wrestling show. I mean, we've always been supporters of that. I don't know if I want a whole show of spot fests. That can be a little overwhelming at times. We've all seen PWG shows where it's like you're exhausted and you're like, okay, I have to watch the rest of this later because the first 4 matches have completely burnt me out, right? But on a show like this where there was nothing else like it, this was awesome. I mean, they had no interest in selling or telling a story.
No.
They were just moving from spot to spot and doing some wild ass shit that you've never seen before in some cases, like you mentioned. And it was just a shit ton of fun. And there's room for that in pro wrestling, and and it was just, it stood out, and it's the match that I think people are talking about coming out of the show. There's probably one or two others, but this was probably the match that made the biggest, I watched in real time, and this was the match that made the biggest impression on Twitter in real time, for whatever that's worth. So, yeah, just a shit ton of fun. Look at it on paper, close your eyes, imagine what these guys could do if they're just out there fucking around and doing spots, if that's what this was.
Yeah.
It was just a shit ton of fun.
And I think Bandito's definitely improving as well. I mean, he's a guy that you and I were a little bit kind of like, yeah, he's good. He's got the talent. He's there. He's kind of figuring it out, and he's still super, super young at this point too. But he in this match, I mean, Flamita and Ray Horus are incredible and awesome. But I thought Bandito in this match really stood out for me as like being legit, like felt like a star in this match. So yeah, credit to him. I think he's really, really improving. So
what's the end result here? Are they still boys or what?
Fuck, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if this is like the uncles that just they fight and then they're cool the next week or whatever. I don't know. Yeah, well, I'm interested to see if they did they shake hands? I don't know. Did they? I don't remember. Did they do a code of honor after this? I don't recall.
I don't remember either. I think this was just they got their frustrations out, and now
they just want to do some flips against each other and some Hurricane Ranas, and then when they're done, they get some cervezas and slap hands, and it's back to the game. So,
all right. So Matt Taven versus Vincent. This was allegedly a cinematic match, but I don't really consider this a cinematic match. They basically just had a walk and brawl, no DQ match in a wrestling school. I mean, they didn't do anything cinematic. Did you like what was your take on this alleged cinematic match?
Yeah, so to me, I liked it, and I think the reason I did like it is it didn't have sort of the pomp and circumstance of a cinematic match. There wasn't fake smoke. There wasn't a guy walking and we see his feet, but dun 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 dun, behind the. It was just like Matt Taven outside of, I think it was like a fraternal order of the police or something like that. I forget exactly what the building was. Maybe someplace that those guys had wrestled before. But he's just like, hey man, I'm gonna beat your ass. And he walks in, they beat each other's ass for 10 minutes. Like I don't know. It was you're right. It felt more like an on location fight than a cinematic match. So I don't know. Yeah, I wouldn't maybe consider. And there was nothing like farcical in here. There was nothing that wouldn't be normal. I mean, they just beat the hell out of each other with stuff, and there was nothing that really stood out to me of being anything that was unrealistic. Even your Stadium Stampedes had a man get drowned and then reemerge, and nobody got buried and nobody died, nobody got eaten by an alligator or anything like that. It's just two dudes that beat each other up, and even to the extent of like the AEW Revolution one, like the fight with the Darby and Team Taz and all those guys, like that one at least had some stuff that was a little, and you could tell that it was like clearly edited and clearly and that sort of stuff, and had drone shots and stuff. This just felt like
music.
Yeah, it had the music, it had the guys talking over the music. This was really cool, and they set this up in a great way too. And I don't know who had this idea, but kudos to them. Where Ian Riccaboni goes, well, they sent us this video, we have no idea what's on it, so let's play it. And then that was it. And then they didn't say anything, they didn't chime in. It was just like they loaded a tape into the deck and let it play. And then when they came back, it was like those guys were watching it with us for the first time. And I thought that was a cool aspect of it as well. So yeah, I don't know. This is we're in this weird universe where I don't know what we call these things. I mean, this. You're right. I don't think I could call it a cinematic match. It was just kind of a brawl that happened on location, other than the arena that the 19th anniversary was on. So I don't think that's cinematic.
And with Vincent, you're worried you might get some of those elements, but you didn't really get any of that. They just had a fight.
No, they just beat the hell out of each other until our boy Bill Carr showed up, as we all predicted in our preview last week, of course, that Bill Carr is going to show up and throw both guys off a balcony through some tables. So
I don't know if they've given that man a name yet, but he was dressed like a giant, like hillbilly, I guess.
Sort of, yeah.
Overalls and like the long johns underneath, and I guess this is going to be Vincent's muscle. So he's paired up with the former, or maybe the current, I don't know what they're calling him, Bill Carr, the former tag team partner of, what's that dope's name again? The
one who's always mad at us, Dan Barry.
Dan, Detective Dan. Yes, Detective Dan. Shouldn't call him a dope. We buried the hatchet.
I think we did. Yeah, I was going to say. We had a good conversation recently with him, I think. Or not recently, like a year ago, but yeah.
Hatchet buried. I apologize to Detective Dan, even though he'll never hear this. Dope is just part of my vernacular. Listen, I just called
you called your own kids dopes earlier, so that's fine.
So I just couldn't think of his name. But so there you go. That was Matt Taven and Vincent, which so they both went off the balcony through the tables onto the floor, and I don't even think anybody won this thing, right?
No contest. Yeah, an official thrown out no contest. Bill Carr, destroyed both of them, and then that was the end of the tape. So that's all we saw.
All right. So a lot of people thought that Jonathan Gresham, Dax Draper was the match of the night, the pure title. What did you think? I
liked it. I don't think I would go as far as match of the night. I thought it was really good. I think a lot of what made this match great is that I don't think anybody expected Dak Draper to have a match this good. I think people know that Gresham is capable of having really, really good matches and really good stories in his matches and stuff like that. That's not a surprise to anybody. I think where a lot of the feedback comes from is they didn't know that Dak Draper had this in him, that he could actually legitimately have a match like this. When it was all said and done, like, I'm probably 4 stars on this one. I'm probably 4.25 with the three-way with Bandito, Flamita, and Horus. So I like that match a little bit more, and I thought that one had a little bit more to it that I enjoyed. But I can't deny that this was really good and like 1,000 times better than I ever had any expectations of Jonathan Gresham and Dak Draper. Good use of the pure rules, where Jonathan Gresham uses up his rope breaks really, really early in the match, and then he's kind of taken off guard because Dak, who he kind of thinks, I got this guy can't hang with me, is able to hang with him, and eventually Jonathan Gresham does put him away and does take him off to the outside. But this is one of those matches that makes both guys look really good. Like, out of this, there's a lot you can do with Dak Draper. You've kind of established that he can really go, and that he might be a player in here. And Jonathan Gresham, is still the champion, because at the end of the day, okay, you had me on the ropes. You had me, I couldn't use the rope breaks. You had me, all this sort of stuff. But at the end of the day, I still beat you because I'm still one of the best in the world. But yeah, just a classic match that both guys, I think, benefited from.
Yeah, I thought it was good. I mean, Draper has the legitimate credentials, and I'm not sure a lot of people knew that. But yeah, it was good. I mean, I didn't think it was great or anything. I guess I could see why people thought it was. Let's see what Grapple thought. What do we see? Because I think, and the third match, I guess, would be Roosh and Jay Lethal, that a lot of people really dug. So let's pull this up. What is this, the anniversary show? 19 years of fucking Ring of Honor.
I know. I feel very, very old, yes.
What the hell?
I
think I was at like the 4th anniversary or something live, or 5th or whatever it was. All right, let's see. 19th anniversary show. Roosh and Jay Lethal sitting at 3.64. Gresham and Dak Draper's at 3.85. For what it's worth, I'd go about 3 3/4. So that's about what I would have for that match. And the 3-way is 3.92. So basically a 4. So that would be your match of the night, the 3-way.
That's fair. I think all those ratings, that pretty much exactly aligns. The ratings might be a little bit different, but in terms of like the hierarchy, that's exactly the way I would see it as well. So I'm fine with that. I think this match really, really good. I think a lot of the response and the expectation was that nobody thought that Dak had this, but you're absolutely right. He was a college wrestler or something like that, or at least a big. I forget if he was a college wrestler or whatnot, but he has that in him. And yeah, he's a guy that you look at and you see, hey, this guy's got a really good look. He's got some decent charisma. There's some stuff there. So it was one of those moments where I think everybody kind of woke up and said, oh, wait, hey, this guy might be a guy. Like, they might be able to do something with this guy. So that's always cool. And I think that leads to a lot of, anytime you have that person that you don't expect to be good and he ends up having a really, really good match, there's always that sort of, response out of people of, oh my God, whoa, holy shit. Like, even if it wasn't the best match of the night. So.
Taven and Vincent sitting at 2.
Oh, get out! You people have no taste. What?
Come on, that's not fair. That was not a 2-star.
Those guys went through a fucking balcony, through 2 tables, beat the hell out of each other. That's not a 2-star match. Get out of here.
It wasn't bad. It wasn't that bad at all. I think people just sometimes go in and are like, it's Matt Taven and Vincent in a cinematic match. I'm gonna cross my arms and not like this.
Yeah, people think we don't like wrestling, man. Go to that Grapple man. Those guys are brutal. Those guys are brutal. There was a I'm doing some stuff for the WrestleMania randomizer, patreon.com/voices of wrestling, and I forget what the match was. I don't want to spoil it because I think I maybe recorded it and it's not out yet. But there was a match where we were like 3 stars off. I was like, come on, guys, get out of here. Like some good effort that these guys are giving it. It's like, wow, 1.5 stars. I'm like, oh, come on, get out of here.
I'm almost always higher than the Grapple average on any given match. They are hard markers on Grapple, let me tell you. It's those fucking Europeans, because it's mostly Europeans, right?
Yeah, Europeans and Voices of Wrestling flagship listeners, of course, yeah.
Yeah, I blame the fucking Brits.
Because our listeners like wrestling. Those Brits, I don't know why they even watch wrestling. They seem to just fucking hate it. So
I blame Benno. That's why.
It is Benno's fault. Yeah.
I shouldn't blame him. He has very similar taste to mine. But he's the first person that comes to mind when I think of a Brit who's on Grapple. He's definitely on Grapple, right?
Yeah, I'm on Grapple right now, and I scrolled just a little bit, and there's his face. There's Benno, old Richard Benson, looking at me right now. There's Joe Lanza and Benno looking at me right now.
Look at him, that prick. Yeah, looks like a prick, that Benno, doesn't he? Look at him. Look at Benno.
You or Benno?
Well, both of us, really.
Oh, okay.
I mean, but yeah. He's just looking at you like he's just going to say something smarmy, right? That's what he looks like, this Benno, right? He's going to eat some beans on a piece of toast, and then he's going to say something smarmy to you. That's what's going to happen when you look at that picture. Yeah. Good guy, though. Big fan. Let's see. We had the ROH tag team titles. So Rhett Titus and Tracy Williams are your new champions. It was a bad night for Kenny King.
Yeah, not good.
As Kenny King and Bestia Del Ring, who stepped in for his son, and then they beat up Amy Rose. So I'd
say a slight downgrade from Dragon Lee to Bestia Del Ring. So.
To his old man.
Yeah. He you know what, that man is definitely an old guy that sometimes wrestles in Mexico, and it definitely he has a look of it too.
All things considered, the match wasn't that bad.
It wasn't that bad, but yeah, he is very low effort, and rightfully so. He's pretty old and stuff, but yeah, that man is not doing much in the ring, and that's fine. The pay window still is open, so no matter what. So hey, good for him.
Yeah, and then Roosh and Jay Lethal, which I thought was a nice little 3.5-star main event with Roosh. How many more title matches is Jay Lethal going to get? Can we maybe like?
I know. There's people that were. I was talking with some people, and they were like, "Well, he's earned it. He did." I'm like, I'm good, man. I feel like Jay Lethal has gotten a title shot or defended the title on every one of the anniversaries since the one that you were at. At least the last 7 anniversary shows, Jay Lethal has either defended the title or had a shot at the title, right? Like. Oh, I'm good. I'm good on Jay. We got enough guys in here.
Maybe we need to do the Cody gimmick. Maybe we need to do the Cody gimmick with him and just have him lose a match where he can never challenge for the title.
I think that's not a bad idea. Yeah, because it's an easy security blanket they can go to, but I think it might be time to just kind of move some guys up, move some guys through the system here. Because I don't need to see. I like Jay Lethal. I think he's a valuable asset to this roster. I just do not need to see him in world title matches anymore. There's just, even if this match was good, it just had no juice for me. I just can't get interested in Jay Lethal challenging for the title. And Roosh is a guy, again, like you and I are pretty consistent with this. There's sometimes where he really delivers, but most times it's like he comes out, he's obviously a charisma explosion. He's got a great look. He does all this sort of stuff. If you've ever been there live on a Roosh match, like people go absolutely fucking nuts for this guy. But once the bell rings, he's fine. Like, you know what I mean? He's a perfectly, okay wrestler, but he's never a guy that's going to really, he's not anywhere on the level of a Bandito Flamita Horus once, the bell rings, or anywhere near, some of these other guys. That's not saying that there's not there's a super value to, say, having somebody like a Roosh, but I'm always excited about his match until the bell rings, and then about 10 minutes in, I'm like, yeah, right. I don't know. It's like, he's fine.
I'm never excited. He is what he is. I don't think he's a great wrestler. He's a guy who, his charisma really connects with some people, and people really, and I, obviously he's a worldwide superstar. So, he obviously has some level of charisma, but no, I never look at a Roosh match on paper and think, wow, I can't wait for that one. He never blows me away. He more often than not underwhelms, but I mean, he's fine. He's just a guy to me. Jay Lethal is ROH's Randy Orton. It's just like perfect, you said,
perfect analogy.
He's their security blanket, and he never leaves. He can badly use a change of scenery, but he's there, and they always go back to him, and you're always like, I have no interest in watching this. But overall, because we have a lot of stuff to get to in a half hour. Overall, look, you put this show in front of a crowd, this is a kick-ass show. But as it was, even with the complete lack of atmosphere, I thought it was pretty good, and it held my attention all the way through.
All right, let's move on to, we'll talk about New Japan here in a bit. Before we do that, though, I do want to let you know the support for this episode of the Voice Wrestling Flagship Podcast is also brought to you by Manscaped. Yes, they're back. Joe, Manscaped is back. The best in men's below-the-waist grooming. They offer precision-engineered tools for your family jewels. They obsess over their technology developments to provide you the best tools for your grooming experience. Manscaped is trusted by over 2 million men worldwide, and we have an exclusive offer for our listeners. 20% off plus free shipping with the code, now this is different, flagship at manscaped.com. Not voices, not VOW, flagship at manscaped.com is the code for them. They've created the best ball hair trimmer ever, the Lawnmower 3.0, their third generation trimmer. It features cutting edge ceramic blade to reduce grooming accidents thanks to their advanced skin safe technology. In addition, it comes with an LED light for a more precise shave and is waterproof as well to make your shower shave clean and easy. That's a thing that I utilize a lot. The shower shave, big fan of that. And you don't have to use the same trimmer you use on your face as you use on your balls as well. So make this thing special. Make the Lawnmower 3.0 exclusive to your nether regions there. Also with the Lawnmower 3.0 comes inside their brand new Perfect Package 3.0. Comes with everything you need to keep trimmed, cut free, and smelling nice. The Perfect Package 3.0 includes the Crop Preserver. Joe, I know you're a big fan of the anti-chafing ball deodorant and moisturizer. As well, you get the Crop Reviver. This, plus the Crop Preserver, keeps your balls from sweating, smelling, and sticking. In addition, Manscaped throws in 2 free gifts of their Perfect Package, a pair of high-performance Manscaped boxer briefs that'll keep your junk feeling fresh all day, as well as a travel bag to store all of your grooming goods. So, of course, you want to go and trim that junk of yours, clean that shit up. Go to manscaped.com, get 20% off plus free shipping with the code FLAGSHIP. Not voices, not VOW, flagship at manscaped.com. Your balls will thank you once again. 20% off plus free shipping with the code flagship at manscaped.com. 20% off plus free shipping, manscaped.com, code flagship. Unlock your confidence and always use the right tools for the job at Manscaped. So glad to have Manscaped back in the fold here.
All right,
family jewels look good again. All right, let's get into this New Japan shit.
I don't want to spend a ton of time on
this company doesn't deserve it anymore. I'm done with them.
Well, geez, Rich.
I'm done with them. I'm over them. No, I'm kidding. I'm being obviously a little dramatic here, but I just don't know what they're doing anymore.
No, you've been losing interest in New Japan for some time. So
I don't know what they're doing. I don't understand anything they do anymore. They're weird for no reason.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to spend a ton of time on this new title. It's just because I think we all already fired off our jokes, and it just is what it is. The physical title belt, I think eventually everyone will just get used to. People just don't like change. You know what I mean? Now, look, there's no question the previous belt and all of the previous belts were better than this one. I don't like the belt, but at the end of the day, it does not fucking matter. We're all going to get used to the physical title. What bothers me more is, just wiping out the lineage and the title history, and Ibushi's the first champion, and that IWGP Heavyweight title lineage, I think, is important and meaningful, and it's a shame that they've just chosen to wipe all of that out and start over. That's what bothers me more.
Yeah.
And yeah, maybe in 20 years, it's not going to matter to anybody anymore in the same ways that when the Triple Crown was put together, we don't really think about those individual title lineages anymore. We just think about the Triple Crown lineage. But again, I don't know if that's a one-to-one comparison. I really just feel like this was one of the few belts left in wrestling that was, other than that one little ugly period where it got split in two, had a nice clean lineage, was always, for the most part, treated with reverence, and had a real solid history behind it. And now we're just wiping all that away. And that's the part that makes me not uncomfortable, but just a little sad. I mean, it's a little sad. I know it's a silly, dumb, fake worked sport, but it bothers me. That's the part that bothers me more than anything else. And as I said, maybe in 20 years, no one will care anymore because now this title will have a history behind it. But it just feels to me like I don't want to forget about the history of the IWGP title. I don't want the history of this title to overcome the history of that other title. And it just, I don't know. You can even hear it in my voice. I'm just let down by it all.
Yeah.
I think it's unnecessary. And if they were that intent on having a quote unquote world title, they could have just slapped the word world on their current IWGP heavyweight title. And they could have kept the title lineage, and they even could have rolled out a new belt. They could have done all of these things without just starting a new lineage in history. That's my biggest gripe.
Yeah, lighting all the lineage on fire and just saying, none of this matters anymore. This is what matters. And yeah, it like you said, it's dorky and it's stupid, and we probably shouldn't care about it. But this is why you do these things. I mean, what you do, why you protect titles, and why you make titles so important, and why you have a title for so long. And when a lot of companies don't have that ability to do that, or don't have the chance to do it, or the company folds after 10 years or whatever, or there's a bunch of issues and you feel like you need to have a new title or whatever. Like, a lot of companies cannot do this. A lot of companies cannot pull off having this sort of lineage, but New Japan did for 30 years. And like you said, there was that one weird period or whatever, but for 30 plus years, they were able to kind of create a lineage and make that title meaningful, and make that title mean something, and make the guys who defended that title mean something, and make the guys who had that title to mean something. And not everybody that was in that company got a shot at that title. That was kind of this special thing, and the special story of getting that title meant you made it. It meant you were, a top tier guy or whatever. And just throwing that away, I mean, I just would never do that. I mean, you've established and you've worked hard to get that title to the level it is, and yeah, there's just no reason to throw that away. I mean, it's the easiest story to tell in wrestling, is have a prestigious title and have guys fight over that prestigious title. And when a guy wins that title, he then becomes a prestigious wrestler. It's the easiest story to tell. And one of the things we heard from a lot of people is, well, now they can tell a story of Okada's never had this title and Tanahashi's never had that title. And like, I'm sorry, if that's what your goal is, well, we need to tell a story of Okada and Tanahashi winning a title they've never won before, then you're kind of bad at telling stories, because you shouldn't need that. You shouldn't need a new title to tell those stories. That title should be always the most meaningful thing in your entire company. And it was forever. For 30 plus years or whatever, that title meant everything. The reason the G1 existed was because people wanted that title. The reason Wrestle Kingdom existed is because people wanted that title. The reason all this stuff existed was for people to win that title. And just right now, they just said, fuck it. Nah, we're done. We're going to move on. And now you can create a new history with that, of course. You can create a new history with this new title, but why? There's just no reason to do that when you've established this
That's
title.
That's the biggest thing. It's like, why? What's the point?
Yeah, you can give me a reason, but I think all your reasons suck. Like, there's just no reason to do that. I mean, they've done what you need to do. They've done the best thing you can do, is keep your main title as prestigious as possible, and you've done it. They've done it for 30 plus years, and they just threw it all away for, I don't know why.
As time passes, none of this is going to matter. I'm confident in that. But we're in the moment now, and it bothers me now. It may not bother me 20 years from now or 30 years from now. But because we're in the moment, it really bothers me that they're doing this.
Well, and rightfully so, because what it really does, and I use this analogy again, and of course this trophy means so much more than the IWGP Heavyweight title. It's been around for a lot longer, but it's like if in 1995 the NFL was just like, you know what, we're gonna get rid of that Lombardi trophy, we're gonna call it this now, and all the people that won the trophy before, that was the Super Bowl and the old Lombardi trophy, but this is the new one now, this is the Bill Walsh trophy or whatever. That you right then and there, it's like, well, it's not the same thing. And like, you can try to trace it back and say, oh yeah, this is, John Madden won the Lombardi trophy, and this Bill Walsh trophy is kind of the same thing, and it's sort of the same, but it's not, you know what I mean? And you ruin that lineage, and you ruin that history, and you ruin that iconic image of whoever, usually fucking Tom Brady, holding up that Lombardi trophy, and then you can immediately cut to, Joe Namath holding up that same trophy, and it's like, look at the lineage right there. I mean, this is something that we have established and we've built up for 40, 50, 60 years or whatever, and it's just that history. I mean, I'm a nerd for history like that. I'm a nerd for sports history, and I'm a nerd for wrestling history, and you can try like hell to say, oh yeah, no, it's kind of the same lineage, it's kind of the same, but it's not. Kota Ibushi's the first champion of this new title. The next guy who beats him is going to be the second guy, and you could say this is the same title that, Junichiro Tenryu had, but it's not. You know what I mean? It's just not.
But they're not saying that. They're not saying that.
Right,
they're saying
exactly.
It's a new title. So that's where and again, time is going to fix it. I'm confident in that. Time is going to fix this. But right now, I don't care about this title as much as I cared about the one before it. I just don't.
I meant Fujinami as well. I don't think Tenryu actually ever won the title, so.
I understood your point.
You knew what I was. Oh no, Tenryu did win. He won in '99. I remember that now. Old ass Tenryu won it. Yeah.
It doesn't. You can throw any name out you want. The point is, none of those people held this title. That's the thing, and aren't going to be part of this title's lineage. I don't care what they show on the video board before the match. They are telling us that Ibushi is the first champion now. Yeah, we're making a mountain out of a molehill. I really, we are. But listen, I'm bothered by it. I'm bothered by it on April 1st, 2021. Okay, I probably won't be bothered by it in 20 years. It'll all be, this will have its own history, but I'm bothered by it now. I'm not, I don't like this. I just don't think it was necessary. I don't understand how this helps business or helps the prestige of the title or any of those things. I don't understand the need to do this. So with all of that said, will Will Ospreay become the second IWGP World Heavyweight Champion? I just hate fucking saying that. I just hate calling it the next champion, the second champion. It's just bullshit to me.
Mm-hmm. I just have yet to hear. I just don't understand why. And that's been a thing for New Japan since the end of 2019. And we were assholes for saying it at the time. We didn't understand the title unification thing. And if people want to listen to us, we said at the time, this is weird. I don't like it. Why are they doing this? And people said, oh, come on. It's just for Wrestle Kingdom. And I said, I don't like it. I think it's weird. I don't like the tournament. I don't like there's stuff that bothers me about this. And 2020 was weird as fuck. And this year is weird as fuck as well. I just don't get it. I just don't understand why they're doing the things that they're doing. There's just no need for it. And I don't know. It's just a company that's been so protective of their history and so embracing of their history as well. The domain name is New Japan 1972. You know what I mean? Like it's always
which for me at least is a big part of the appeal.
Absolutely. And I love that you can say, hey, this a lot of companies have come and gone. People have broken off and made new companies and did all this sort of stuff. But we have been here consistently since 1972. Antonio Inoki and that's always been established, and that's always been something that they have hit over the head, and they've done a tremendous job of doing, is embracing their history, not running from it, and saying this is what it was, warts and all. There's been some warts along the way, but we've emerged from that, and we're now the leader in Japan, and we're the most consistent company, and now we're a mega power in Japan. They're so far ahead of everybody else in Japan, it's not even funny at this point. This is not the time when you fuck around and change everything, but they decided that they're going to, and I don't know. I just don't get it. And you're right. It hurts the appeal for me because I am somebody that loves sports and wrestling history, and this is just, to me, a slap in the face of that history. So
I see in the chat room people saying they've been clear that this new title encompasses the history of both of the other titles.
Off.
They can tell me whatever they want.
It doesn't. I'm on their fucking Wikipedia. I'm on a Wikipedia right now. It says IWGP World Heavyweight Championship won Kota Ibushi March 4th, 2021. The next guy that beats Kota Ibushi will be the second IWGP World Heavyweight Champion. It is not the same title. It can't be.
They can tell me that all they want, but to me, it doesn't. It just doesn't.
Also,
No matter
that doesn't
what they
work.
say.
That doesn't work. Saying, oh well, it encompasses the lineage of both the World Heavyweight and the IC title.
Yeah.
No.
So what are you telling me? Are you telling me Hiroki Goto is on the same
yes,
level? As Antonio Inoki?
MVP. They're going to show the video, and MVP is going to be there. It's going to be Antonio
MVP
Inoki.
Yeah. All these people are on the same level because
right.
it's
Sombra,
not.
Antonio Inoki, Tatsumi Fujinami. When they play the video, it's going to be.
And it's just not.
Yeah,
they could try to sell that. I'm not buying it.
Right.
They could try to sell that all they want. I am not buying it.
Which is not. It's not. I mean, it's quite literally not. If he's the first champion, you know what I mean? It's just not. You can't. You can't do it. So I'm sorry. Like that's not how it works. You can say it, but it's not how it works.
They can say it all they want. It's bullshit. It's no one's gonna view it that way. But I think we talked about Ibushi Ospreay match last week or the week before, so we really don't have to get too deep into it. My stance remains the same. I think Ibushi will win, but I do not think this is I think it's 75-25. I think there's a 1-in-4 shot that Will Ospreay wins. I don't know that they'll have Ibushi lose this new title this quickly. That's one thing that gives me pause. The other thing that gives me pause is I think Ospreay can lose this and not really lose much of his momentum at all. It's his first challenge for this title, so it's perfectly okay for him to lose. But on the other side, they love to give these heels a quickie run to establish themselves as championship worthy. You've seen it with Jay White and Tetsuya Naito and AJ Styles, and I might even be forgetting somebody. Okada, if you really want to take it all the way back to 2012. They love to give these guys the quickie title run, a short one. They lose it in their first or second defense, usually their first defense, just to say, okay, and then in your mind as a fan, this guy's championship caliber. That's the argument for Will Ospreay. But I still think Ibushi wins this. What do you think? And then we'll take a quick look at the other stuff.
I am more and more leaning towards Ospreay winning this thing and winning the title here because for the reasons that you mentioned, for the reasons last week, the reasons you do the big angle with Bia, you do the big angles. The way he's talked, the way he's kind of carried himself, the way that this new title's been rolled out, the way that Ibushi's been the champion, just everything kind of to me. And I don't know. I mean, maybe they've gotten me, they've hooked me at least in that sense, but I totally buy Will win in this thing. And like you said, for the reason that you mentioned is that one win, he can hold it until the next dome show, whatever they do, their next dome shows, the next fucking 5 dome shows or whatever the hell they're doing this year.
Like next week?
Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? The next one that everyone's going to pretend is a real dome show, even though it's not a real dome show. Yeah. But no, that like, it seems right for like, he wins this, Ibushi gets that rematch, then he wins it back. Yeah, they do this all the time with the guys getting the 1 or 2 month title reign. And this is a great time to do it as well, especially with this new title, especially with everything going on. So, I think I'm okay with him winning this title, and I think he's going to do it. So, I don't know. I might be wrong, but we'll see.
I'm fine with him winning the title, too. I just don't think they're going to do it here. I just think Ibushi retains. Because that's a lot of pomp and circumstance to put into Kota Ibushi. This was his idea to combine these fucking things.
Well, I think that even adds a little bit more heat to it, doesn't it?
I guess. I mean, look, again, I think Will has a chance. You're leaning Will, I'm leaning Ibushi. I don't think either call is a bad call. I wouldn't be disappointed with either call. We'll see how it goes. I know the match is going to fucking roll. I also know that they sucked all of the juice out of this with the dumb angle.
Yes.
And no one's really talking about. But I think once they hit the ring and they go out there and have what's inevitably going to be a match of the year level contender match, that a lot of people will put that. Not everybody, but a lot of people will put that angle in the rear view unless it plays into the match. Unless B. Priestley struts down to the ring
with Kota Ibushi. Kota Ibushi gets in the ring and goes, I'm not alone. I have a manager.
Well, I mean, and then fucks him over. I mean, that's but she'd have to hustle back from her. Start a match or whatever she's doing that night. So, Desperado and Kanemaru are going to lose the junior titles to Roppongi 3K.
Yep.
I really hope that isn't the case, and I hope they just do an angle and break up this fucking team.
Yeah, I hope they lose and then shows like, oh, sorry, man, and then Yo just beats the hell out of him or whatever and establishes something there. That I think it's desperately needed for this team. I would hate it for both these guys' careers if they just come back and win the titles and they're just like back to normal. Hey, Roppongi 3K, let's go.
How can anyone be excited about a Roppongi 3K tag title run at this point?
Okay, off the top of your head, how many times do you think they've won these titles? I'm actually going to look it up as well. Let's see. Okay, so you have it at 4?
Yeah, they win them every fucking January after they win the Super Junior Tag League.
Right.
And then they lose them, and then they win the Super Junior Tag League, and then they win the titles.
So you were saying this one will be their fourth, or this?
This will be number 4. I think they have it 3 times.
5. This will be their 5th, actually.
Those will be okay. All right. So, who really wants to see that? But here's the thing: the chicks dig them. They want to sell their pervy fucking photo books and all that bullshit. So they're gonna fucking keep them together. I mean, and it's a shame. I think it's time for both guys to move on and do something else, but we're not gonna get that. And then the other intriguing thing on this show is the mystery partner for United Empire. Who's that going to be? No one's really pinned it down yet. And they're facing, Naito, Sonata, and Takagi. So it has to be someone that's going to be a major player, because there's no loss. There's no loss post on that team. There's no pin eater.
Right.
So,
it'd be stupid to have this guy debut and then, Shingo pins Cobb or whatever. You know what I mean? Or So that guy's got to probably get the pinfall, and he's got to pin one of Naito, Sonata, or Shingo. So yeah, that's a big fucking deal.
And maybe move into a feud with whoever he beats. Like maybe the guy comes in and beats Naito, and then Naito has a series of matches with him or something. I don't know. But I'm curious who they add to the mix there. And then I guess everything else is just tags. Do we really need to go over?
No.
We got some other stuff to talk about.
No, we don't need to waste the time.
That's Sakura Genesis. You really want a breakdown of Dookie in a 6-man tag. I don't know what to tell you. You're not going to get it from me. So we got about 15 minutes left for the White Sox first pitch at 9:05 Central. So we'll stay in Japan. And what do we got left? We got Dragongate, DDT, and then the MCW gimmick, right?
Correct.
That's everything we got. We could do this because Dragongate, there's only really 2 matches here from the Dragongate Memorial Gate. Well, I guess that's not true. I guess there's a couple. But let's just start with the main event. Shun Skywalker defeats Kazuma Sakamoto. Yes, I stayed up until 4 a.m. to watch a Kazuma Sakamoto match live. That was something I really did. And I'm glad I did, because this
You were rewarded. Yeah, you were rewarded. This match fucking ruled.
I thought this was the best Dragongate match of the year to this point. That's how much I loved this fucking match.
Wow. Hold on. Okay. All right. Well, I got to think. Give me a minute to think, but go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
I thought it was better than Shun's last defense against Ishido, which everybody loved, and I liked it too, because I thought Kazuma Sakamoto really was the star of this match. He was phenomenal. This was, and I don't mean this, a lot of times when people say this, they mean it in a demeaning way, but this was such a professional performance. I mean, this was just a classic style world title match with the heel beating down the babyface, taking him to the limit. Nobody really believed he could win, right? But there were moments, flashes, where you're suspending your disbelief. I thought Kazuma Sakamoto's performance was so great here. I thought Shun Skywalker's selling was phenomenal here. I thought when Shun made his comeback at the end, and Kazuma was on the ropes, and he was selling that he was just, Sakamoto blew me away with his performance in this match as a challenger for this title. And I thought this was overall the best match in Dragon Gate this year. And it wasn't a Dragon Gate style, typical Dragon Gate style match at all. This was a U.S. North American style world title match. Kazma's performance was outstanding. And then obviously Shun was very good too. But Sakamoto just stood out to me, blew me away. I thought he was great. And, it was way better than I thought it was going to be. And I didn't think it was going to be terrible, but I didn't think it was going to be this 4.5-star match that I ended up getting.
Wow, yeah, you loved it, and I liked it too. For the record, I'm looking at my ratings right now. I have it as my 3rd favorite Dragon Gate match of the year. I had Kaito Ishida and Shun Skywalker as number 1, number 2, and then BB Hulk and Kai versus Jason Lee and Kota Minoura from the January Open the New Year Gate, I believe, show from January 12th. That is my number 1 Dragon Gate match of the year. But this is, I initially kind of eye rolled this thing. Case Lowe wrote a great article on our website about how, or Mike Spears wrote this one this week about how important this match was and how interesting this match was. And I was like, yeah, whatever. Okay, yeah, Kazuma Sakamoto. I'm not interested in Kazuma Sakamoto. You know what I mean? I think he's garbage. I think he stinks. I'm not going to, barely going to watch this match. Or, yeah, I'll watch it if people say it's good. And then I woke up to you screaming about it. Everybody screaming about it. First thing I watched that next morning, I went and watched this match, and I was blown away how good Kazuma Sakamoto was. I had to eat a lot of shit after I've been bad-mouthing this guy for years about how I don't want to see him in Dragongate. I think he's worthless. Fire the guy, get rid of him, take him away. He does nothing for me. And I had to eat crow because he was awesome in this match. This was so good. And this is the story that Dragongate tells so much better than just about every other company. The guy that has no chance of winning. How often do we see this match where Susumu was in there, and we know that Susumu's not going to win the fucking title, but God damn it, if 10 minutes in, that guy doesn't have you just rooting and hollering and going, God damn it, I hope he wins this match. God, I hope he does it. Dragongate does this so well, and yeah, they did it again here. There was 0% chance that Kazuma Sakamoto was going to win this match, but God damn it if you weren't buying into that, 10, 15 minutes in, and hoping and praying and just, living and dying by every single one of these near falls. So I'm with you. I thought he was awesome in this match, and Shun, a real professional performance by him, too. He's really kind of coming into his own, so a shockingly great Dragongate main event.
There was one spot where Sakamoto did a running knee to Shun, who was tangled in the ropes on the hard cam side, because it was a single cam show. And the way that Shun sold that knee, where he flopped outside it, like his body fell out of between the bottom and middle rope, and his head snapped back. And at that point, I was standing and pacing.
They're going to do it. The Cosmo's going to do it.
Not even that, just how great the work was. I said this on Twitter, and I'll say it here. This match had such great work and such great structure, and it was a simple structure. They didn't try to reinvent the wheel.
No.
This is the kind of match that I would recommend to a wrestling school. I would show wrestling students this match. How to work as a heel, how to work as a babyface, and how to sell. The whole comeback stretch of the match, and how to finish off a match like this. This is the kind of match that I think, if I were a wrestling instructor, I would recommend to my students. I would have this on VHS, ready to pop into VCR for these people to study. This was a study-worthy match in terms of how well both of these guys wrestled, in particular Sakamoto.
Especially so, like, again, I stated again, with the idea that there is no chance in hell, everybody in the arena knows, everybody watching knows that Kazuma Sakamoto is not going to win. And that is an important story to tell as well, because I think a lot of wrestlers do struggle with, like, well, if I'm clearly the underdog, how can I get people invested? How can I get people to do it? And that, again, another great example to show this. Hey, look, and by the way, nobody thinks this one guy is going to win this match. And he's clearly not going to win this match, but he's still, because he's so damn good and because he wrestles so well, you buy into it, and you still buy into every single near fall and think, oh my God, he might do it. And I think that's super, super important to teach to wrestlers as well.
So Hip Hop Kakuta beat Ben K earlier in the show, and everyone was kind of scratching their heads like, what the fuck? Why did he win?
Like, really beat him, too. No interference, nothing. Just fucking beat him. 1, 2, 3 in the middle of the ring. Yeah, beat his ass.
And then, of course, he reveals himself as the next challenger when Shun is, doing his celebratory, thing after his win. Kakuta attacks him, and then it's like, oh, we're all stupid. Of course he beat Ben K, because they're setting him up to be the next challenger. So, now the match with Kakuta and Ben K was nothing special. This guy's like a year in, and I don't think Ben K is a great wrestler. I think Ben K has great presence, and I think Ben K is a really good wrestler, but I don't think of Ben K as like an upper echelon, mark this guy down for the notebook kind of wrestler. That's not who he is.
No. And he's definitely a guy, I think, that, especially at this point in his career, which is still very, very young as well, is a guy that if he's in there with a tremendous wrestler, he can get to that level, but when he's in there against a guy like Kakuta, who's still a year in or whatever, Ben K is not going to make the, he's not going to carry this match and say, all right, kid, let's go out there and blow the doors off. And that's not really his style either. I don't know if that's ever going to really be his style as well. He's not Masato Yoshino. He's not Shima. You know what I mean? He's definitely not one of those guys. So,
he can have great matches, but I don't think
right.
Yeah, so,
he's not a machine like those other guys that you could put Shingo
right.
and Yoshino and Shima and all these guys into basically any match, and they're going to make it fucking incredible because they're just that good. He's not that kind of guy, and that's fine. That's okay.
So Kakuta will get his first Dreamgate shot, and that'll be very similar to the Yoshida match we talked about a few weeks ago, where it's like we're laying the foundation and building stories for this new generation of Dragon Gate stars. So he gets his first title shot. He'll be next up, and
I did see, real quick, not to interrupt, but I did see a lot of people say, oh my God, Ben K, oh, what are they doing with Ben K? What are they doing with Ben K? That's Dragon Gate booking. Be okay with that.
Yes.
Sometimes guys just lose, and they go into the back door for a little while, and Benkei will do something for a little bit, but when they're ready to fire him up again, he'll get a big win, a big win, a big win, then he'll get a Dreamgate match, and it'll be just fine. So they're not done with Benkei. They're not bored of Benkei and deciding, this kid's got nothing. It's Kakuta's time right now, so he moves up, but they do it by clean wins. That's how they book, and it's worked for them for about 20 years. Semi-clean. Semi-clean. This one was. When they want to really establish you, though.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Kakuta could easily had RED come in there and help him, and they didn't. He beat him. He proved to be the better man on that night to get that title shot.
Which is why we all should have saw it coming. Like, instead of saying, why did he win? We should have been smart enough to understand what was going to happen later in the show. But that's the Dragon Gate show. There was a Twin Gate match as well. Mochizuki and Takashi Yoshida, they're still doing that. That hasn't run its course yet, where Yoshida's with his what's the word I'm looking for?
Protege or whatever, his teachers.
Senpai.
Senpai, there you go, yeah.
And look, Kenichiro Arai getting a shot there. With Kanda. I thought it was a pretty good match. It was fine, it was all right. But I always like seeing Arai. I love that guy. They need to bring back Deep Drunkers.
They do, yes. You and only 2 other people in the world want that to happen, but yeah.
I might be the only one.
I think you might be the only one left at this point, yeah.
I would enjoy Deep Drunkers. I'm not saying push them, but I would like to have them around. But look, Arai is just going to pop up in certain cities and whatnot. I get it. But I
got to watch the opener. I didn't know our guy Garukin Mask was on this show. Fuck.
Yeah, Garukin Mask, yeah.
God, that's our boy. All right. Damn, I'll have to watch that opener then. I can't miss anytime a Garukin Mask match hits tape, I kind of have to watch it, right? There's only like 4 a year that hit it.
I mean, you're not going to have many opportunities.
That's what I mean. So you kind of have to watch it. So I will have to go out of my way to watch that one then.
Yeah. So I watched this
real quickly. We forgot to mention when we were talking about Ring of Honor the debut of the new stable: Homicide, Brody King, Dickinson, Deppen. Coming after the match. Yeah, we completely did not talk about that. And people in the chat were like, you guys going to mention the new stable?
Well, I'm
pretty awesome.
Getting a shot. Yeah. I don't think Deppen fits. That was my thought as I was watching them. I don't think he fits. But look, I'll give it a chance. I didn't think Jeff Cobb fit in Empire, and he fits like a glove now that it says, so who knows? Maybe Deppen will end up work. But my first impression is those other 3 guys are fucking cool as hell together, and Tony Deppen is like their dorky friend. I don't understand.
I don't understand. It's going to be weird to see Homicide, like one of the most like no doubt biggest badasses in wrestling ever, and then like Tony Deppen next to him. You know what I mean? Like, especially, and you're right, those guys all kind of breathe fire and breathe smoke. It's Brody King looks like $1 million, and Chris Dickinson looks like he'll kill you, and Homicide looks like he's going to stab you. And then there's Tony Deppen, like the wrestler guy next to him. So I'm with you. It is a little weird, but I'll wait and see. I'll at least give it a chance before I immediately say. But I'm with you. I think as a 3-man unit, I'd be like, these guys all fucking work. This is perfect. But I'll give it a chance at least. I'll give it a chance.
All right. So I watched the main event from this DDT show, this 24th anniversary. Do these promotions just have anniversaries like every other? Like I feel
gonna say, it seems like a lot of anniversaries lately.
But main event was Jun Akiyama defending against Kazusada Higuchi. So I was like, I'm going to watch this. I don't watch a ton of DDT these days. But with those 2 guys, I'm going to check that out. So I watched this main event. Now, Rich, I'm going to ask you a series of questions.
Okay.
Would you consider me a selling fetishist?
I would not.
Okay.
Because we just talked about a match earlier that you liked with Bandito and Rey Horus and Flamita where they didn't go on the mat for more than 2 seconds without getting up and doing something else after that. So no. I do not.
Am I hard to please when it comes to limb selling?
No, not really. You want a little bit of reference to it, but yeah, you don't need to be limping and dying from your leg being hurt. So no.
Right. You've been doing shows with me for 9 years, and you have a really good feel for me because those are both the exact answers I would have given for myself. I'm not hard to please when it comes to limb selling. I'm hardly a selling fetishist. I've enjoyed many matches where the participants may not have done a classic job of selling, but I have to tell you, with all of that said, this match bugged the shit out of me. The story of this match was Jun Akiyama torturing this man's right arm. Not the left arm, because that's important. Torturing this man's right arm. Using all of his old man tricks and holds and beating Higuchi's arm to a pulp to counter Higuchi's, chops and his lariats and everything. The idea was he was going to weaken down this man's right arm, and he worked it for the entire duration of this match, right? So towards the end of this bout, and it was well worked, and I did like it, Okay, I did like the match, but this is what bugged me. Higuchi goes on his final flurry, and he just throws about 20 of the most hellacious chops you'll ever see with the right arm that was just worked over for the entirety of the match. Doesn't bother to even do some token, let me shake it out. You know that gimmick where they'll give a chop and then maybe shake the arm out? Like, to at least sell the idea that, okay, my arm is damaged, but it's an important weapon of mine, and I'm going to fight through the pain and hit these chops anyway. None of that. Just 20 of the hardest chops, shotgun chops, loud as hell, which would have been cool as fuck had Akiyama not been working over his arm for the entire match. It was the entire point of the match, was him working over this man's right arm. And then he just gets up, completely ignores it, throws no less than 20 shotgun chops, and then hits a gigantic lariat again with the right arm. I had major problems with this because they made me feel like the rest of the match was pointless. And again, am I a selling fetishist, Rich Craich?
No.
Do I normally harp on this stuff?
No.
Am I hard to please? Do I just ask for a modicum of just shake out? I don't ask for the world.
Right. We have always maintained the stance that even if your knee's getting worked over, you can do stuff with your knee. It doesn't have to completely be incapacitated. But goddamn it, if you're gonna do a high knee after your knee's been hurt,
acknowledge it.
Then at least get down and go, fuck, I shouldn't have done that. That hurt a lot, and kind of shake it out, give it a little slap or whatever, and then maybe do something else with it. And always use it as a tool to say, fuck, that really hurt. Or when you're doing the chop, look back down at your arm and go, I shouldn't do that, but I have to do it. That's my move. You know what I mean? I got to do it. But God, that hurt. But that you are not a fetishist at any point for that. So
now look, best case scenario, he does all that shit with his left arm. Don't use the arm. That is the entire story of the match. Or if you can't do those things with your left arm, have a little chat with the Hall of Famer before you guys get out there and say, hey, look, maybe work over my left so that I can come back with my right, since that's my dominant side. Or if Akiyama's like, no, bro, I'm going to work the right side because that's your weapon and that's the story I want to tell. You need to think of something else to do on your comeback than attack the man with the right arm like nothing was done to it for the rest of the match. And I normally hate when people go on these kinds of rants, okay? But this one bothered me. He didn't acknowledge it at all. It was as if nothing happened to his right arm during the first 2/3 of this match, in the final third of this match. He completely ignored everything. He just hit those chops and hit that lariat and just moved on with his business and got his little near fall. He didn't shake it out. He didn't roll around on the ground in pain. He didn't act like those strikes were less effective because the arm had been worked on during the bout. Akiyama sold them like he was dead. It bothered me, okay? It didn't completely ruin the match for me, but it definitely took the match down a peg from this match was fucking awesome to this match was pretty good, but they had a major fucking flaw. I couldn't overlook it. And I'm someone who just asked for a modicum of effort. A modicum of effort. That's all I asked for. I'm not one of these people that thinks if a leg has been worked over, you're supposed to fucking not be able to walk anymore, because there's people out there who think that way. I'm not one of them. Okay? But this was egregious. This was one of the most egregious examples of completely ignoring a limb that I've seen. This was like, I can't even come up with another example. I mean, shit. And it totally took the match down a full notch for me. And it bothered me. And Akiyama ended up winning anyway, but man, I just wanted to defend my stance on that because, I saw some people saying it wasn't that bad and they've seen worse. I don't know. To me, this was really bad. And this was the kind of match where if I'm Akiyama, I get in the back with Higuchi and I'm like, what the fuck, man?
Yeah, cut that shit out. Like, right. You make Akiyama look like his limb work sucks. You know what I mean? Like he doesn't know what he's doing type stuff. Yeah, I'm with you.
So anyway, I know you didn't see the match.
Sounds infuriating. It sounds pretty infuriating. So
look, if you watched it, a lot of people had a different take. It bothered me. And if it bothered me, it was probably pretty bad.
Well, sometimes you just get a bug up your ass. You know what I mean? Like, and I mean this in the best way. Like, I watch a match, and sometimes the dumbest thing just annoys the hell out of me, and it just completely ruins it. And I'm just the entire time going, yeah. Sometimes it just happens. Sometimes you let it go. Sometimes it doesn't bother you, and then sometimes it really drives home, and you just kind of, you get annoyed about it.
You're totally right about that, but it's usually with guys that you don't want to like. I like both of these guys.
Right. Maybe that was part of it, is that you were upset. You're not mad. You're disappointed.
Well, I got to tell you, Dino came out for a title challenge, so that's enough DDT for me. You know, I'm back out on DDT when Dan Shiku Dino comes out to challenge Akiyama.
Oh God, what? No.
Yeah,
Oh,
so
God.
he's the next challenger.
What?
So I will once again go back to ignoring DDT. But yeah, but
it was a good run. Well, hey, that was a fun week.
Look, their fans like them.
Yeah.
I mean, what are you going to do? It's like, look, that's fine, but it's not for me. But anyway, that was Akiyama Higuchi. You want to push MCW to next week again, or what?
I feel bad. I feel bad for those guys. It's okay. Let's go 5 minutes on this MCW show. We deserve it to them.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, I'd be happy to do it next week if you wanted to go watch your game. But
no, it's fine. I can miss. There'll be the pomp and circumstance, and the guys will come out and do their handshakes and shit. So I think I'm all right. So.
Well, LaRussa's out there arguing about something already.
Oh, so perfect. Okay, yeah, we got time. So,
he's like looking at the lineup card.
Oh,
like, I don't know. They got the lineup cards. He's like jawing at the ump. I don't know what's going on.
Jesus.
So who knows? But now the Angels are coming on the field, so I think they've settled whatever. No, he's still out there, LaRussa. I don't know what he's doing.
He's stalling for me. Thanks, Tony. First thing he's doing here. So.
So this MCW show, I didn't think it was as good as, what was the last one called?
The one that we saw was Homecoming, I believe, right? Wasn't that MCW Homecoming?
With the great main event, Adam Brooks and Slex, the business, because that had the great main event. But this was an easy watch. I liked almost every match. I didn't have much use for the Lockie Hendricks and Crackerjack thing with the Legends contract. That I didn't have any use for. But everything else I pretty much liked on the show. There wasn't any great matches here, but there was a bunch of good ones. And the one thing about Melbourne City Wrestling is I think the production is excellent.
Yep.
Especially by indie standards. It's well booked. I might not like all the things that they book, but there's effort put into the booking. Nothing happens on these shows that doesn't matter. They don't just ever throw two guys out there to have a fucking match that does not fucking matter. Okay? It's well booked from that perspective. And you watch a couple of these shows, and last year was the same thing. I know it was a different booking regime then than it is now. But last year, we really got into this company, and then COVID happened. And now this year, I'm back in because it's well booked. They book show to show. They book match to match. They've gotten some of the personalities over with me. And I don't know. I really enjoyed it. It was a fun, easy watch. I don't know how long it was, but it felt like a breeze.
Yeah, I think it was only about 2 hours, and their shows have been kind of around that range, 2.5 hours max, which is definitely a good thing. I think, and you hit the nail on the head there. The thing that's cool about watching MCW right now is I'm still new to a lot of the wrestlers. I'm still new to a lot of the characters and a lot of the personalities or whatever. And this is that stuff where, like, we always hear people that say, "Oh, I don't understand it, so my friend turns into a corn cob because he doesn't understand what's going on." Like, I love not understanding everything. I love jumping into a company and going, "Hey, let me learn about the Brat Pack a little bit. Let me find out a little bit more about the Velocities or whatever." Like, I know some of the names. I don't really know their characters all that much. I don't really know exactly what they do or exactly what they are in the ring or whatever. But that discovery is really fun and really interesting. So when you have this discovery of new talents that you've maybe only seen a little bit or you're not totally familiar with, you can couple that with great production values, pretty good announcing, and then crowds that make noise, Joe. They're in this arena and they make noise. And it's just like, yes, wrestling. This is what it used to be like. It's, we talked about it during opening day today. It's such a difference to actually hear crowds make noises or whatever. And I'm getting that from MCW. I'm like, this almost feels like a normal, wrestling company. So to me, it's awesome because it finally gives me an opportunity to just kind of sit down, watch 2.5 hours of wrestling. Everything that's going to happen in these 2.5 hours is going to make sense or at least have a reason or have a purpose. Everybody that wins is winning for a reason. Everybody that loses is losing for a reason. Everybody that debuts, everybody that wins, everything matters in this company, which is really cool. And yeah, it's fun to kind of discover new talents, discover new stories, and discover a company that I've never really had the opportunity to kind of sit down and learn and study and really become, keenly aware of. And that's fun. I love that discovery period of wrestling. And I get that so rarely these days, as especially doing the show where we're just obsessed with watching as much as we can and covering as much as we can. Very rarely do I sit down and watch a show where I don't know like half the people on the show or whatnot. And I'm getting that right now with MCW, and I really, really enjoy it. And like you said, it helps that I'm not just watching matches to watch matches. Everything I'm watching matters, and there's a purpose and there's a reason behind it, and the announcers are getting stories over well, and the production values are good, so it looks good, it sounds good, it's just good. It's good shit, and it's a very easy watch. It's a breeze. It flies by, and yeah, there's a lot of stuff I really like about MCW. So I mean, as long as they keep running this year, 2021, I'm watching them. Every event that comes out that's available to watch, I'm in. I'm ready to take in this company and really, really become a fan of it.
A good example is this Rocky Monero. He beats Royce Chambers, right? And the announcers put over there very strong this idea that Royce Chambers goes out there on all of these shows and he wrestles well and he gives it his all, but he just never wins. And you have Chambers after the match, after he loses, just sitting there with this look on his face and he's shaking his head. Because the story is, when is this guy going to live up to his potential and get on a roll and start winning some matches? They're not reinventing the wheel with that story. Eventually he's going to go on a winning streak or something, or, but there's some investment. It's not just Rocky Monero and Royce Chambers in an isolated match that you're going to forget about 5 minutes later because it doesn't mean anything. Because it's just, oh, let's put these two guys together because whatever the fuck. No, there's a little story there. Chambers loses again. When's this guy going to start winning some matches? That's all it takes to get me interested.
Right, and I think they did a good job in that Chambers story as well, talking about, hey, this is a guy, who went to DDT, he's went and done stuff around the world, but maybe he's getting a little too big for his own head. Maybe he's a little bit more, he thinks he's a bigger star right now than he really is. And they don't mean that in a demeaning way. They just mean like, well, he's got to kind of prove it here in his home, his home country. Like he talks a big game and he looks a big game and he looks like a star and he is a star. But he's got to start winning these matches here. It doesn't matter if you don't do it in the big spots. And that's a cool story to tell because, yeah, eventually he's going to go on that win streak, like you said, and it's going to make that investment in him, seeing him lose a few times, that much more important and that much more worth it.
One thing I want to say about him, too, is we've seen him in scrambles. We've seen him with other flippy-do guys. But I think his best work has been against guys like this Rocky Monero versus Danny Psycho, guys that are bigger than him, where he gets a chance to bump and sell and get thrown around and make babyface comebacks and have a big guy to sort of, bounce off of. And that's when he looks his best. And damn well when the world opens up and people start booking this guy all over the world, because he was on the verge of breaking out when the world shut down, the instinct is going to be to throw him in a scramble.
Yeah, 6-man scramble, do a bunch of shit, kid. Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, put him in with another flippy-do guy. I think he really shines in situations like this. My two favorite Royce Chambers matches I've ever seen were the Danny Psycho match, which I thought was phenomenal, and this match against Monero, which I thought told a great story. And I really think he's at his best against larger opponents.
Yeah.
So yeah, this, we won't go through every match, but they have a lot of, you've got the Brat Pack and the Velocities and the Natural Classics, some of the best teams in Australia, and in some cases teams that have started to make a mark. The Velocities were getting PWG bookings before things shut down. And we've seen the Natural Classics on New Japan adjacent shows, in Australia and elsewhere. And so they have a nice little tag division here, too, that they've put together. You had the tag title match to open the show with the Brat Pack defending their titles against the Velocities, and the Natural Classics win the number one contender match, later on in the show. So now we've got the Brat Pack and the Natural Classics headed for a title match at some point. So, again, very well booked and not like reinventing the wheel and trying to get too tricky with it. Just very simple stories to help keep your investment. So I thought Slex and Mick Moretti was probably the best match on the show. I don't know where you stand on that.
Yeah, I think I would agree with that. I think that works. Yeah.
Yeah. And, Slex, of course, he'll get work here until, he's under Ring of Honor contract. Obviously, look at the world. Eventually he'll be back there. But until then, it's good that this group will continue using him. He lost the title match last month to Adam Brooks, so he's kind of like out of the picture for that. But that's fine. He's still a nice talent to have around on the card. And then they did their Ballroom Brawl gimmick, which is, their version of the Royal Rumble. And, Mitch Waterman, one half of the Brat Pack won it because they did the swerve where, the Lockie Hendricks guy inserted himself into the match as a surprise. Very WWE style.
Yeah, I didn't love that. Did not love that stuff. That kind of sucked, yeah. Says, I have a Legends contract, so I can do whatever I want. It's like, nah. Really?
So the guy wins the Legends contract earlier in the show by beating this Crackerjack guy, who allegedly is, I don't know anything about him, but I guess he's an Australian deathmatch legend or something. So Hendricks beats him earlier in the show for the Legends contract. And it's supposed to be a 20-man match, this ballroom brawl. And the 20th man comes in or whatever. And then all of a sudden there's a 21st man, and it's this Lockie Hendricks guy. And his explanation is, well, I won the Legends contract, so I can do what I want. And I've inserted myself into the match. Very sports entertainment style angle. Not a fan. And I guess, the swerve was you then think he's going to win, but then Mitch Waterman ends up winning anyway, which was a weird choice because you have one half of the tag team champions now winning this match, which gives you a title shot for the world title. And they've already set up Adam Brooks versus Danny Psycho, which they did earlier on the show, with the promo or whatever. So I don't know. That was all a little weird, and I wasn't a big fan of how they booked that match, but I guess we'll see where it goes. But definitely looking forward to Adam Brooks versus Danny Psycho.
I was going to bring that up. I mean, that was pretty cool. So Brooks comes out there. He's obviously not on the show, or they decided not to, he's not going to defend the title on this show because they have enough stuff going on here. So Danny Psycho, who we both were super impressed by at Homecoming, he had that match against Edward Dusk or whatever and beat him. And he looks awesome. He's got a great look. He carried himself really well. He's got that sort of, he's a big dude. He comes out here, challenges Adam Brooks, and it was like just like a perfect, I'm gonna prove that I could beat you and I'm gonna win that title type stuff. It's just so easy and so simple. And the whole story is that Danny Psycho was, used to be a little bit more level headed and is now kind of breaking, and he's starting to, and there's a really cool story there. And Brooks is just kind of like, all right, well, hey, you know what? You want the title? Come at it, and I'll beat you, and I'll keep this title. And it's so simple and so great. But I'm super into that story, and I cannot wait for that match as well. That's going to be tremendous. It
should be a great match, yeah. I mean, I love how Danny Psycho comes out to like My Chemical Romance.
Yeah, right. Oh yeah. Well, if you look at his video, it's all like stuff from like 2007, where he's like a skinny little, clearly like a emo looking guy, and now he's like older and a little fatter, but a little stronger. He's got some muscle now going too. So
no, I think he's kind of jacked.
Yeah, he is pretty jacked. Yeah.
But apparently he's a veteran. He's been around for many years on the Australian scene. And I've been impressed with him every time I've seen him. He's obviously new to us. But, so I think that'll be a great title match. And then I guess this Mitch Waterman has to get a title shot at some point for winning that ballroom brawl. But look, it doesn't all land. I think they do go a little too heavily into the sports entertainment style stuff for my taste. But there's so much clear effort put into the booking. You can tell that it's well thought out. Like they had Avery in the commentary booth for the Kellyanne Jessica Troy match, to just add a little juice to that.
I thought that match was really good, actually.
It was good.
It's always like you watch a lot of American indie and people try to put over, and I'm not naming names or what, I'm not gonna do it, but like you see like two women that go in here and just act, like actually know how to work, you know what I mean? Like actually are really, really good. And that's what this match was. Jessica Troy is awesome, and Kellyanne was really, really good as well. And yeah, Avery on commentary, and it's like three women's wrestlers that are awesome. And it's like, people trip over themselves and fall over themselves to put praise on these people that just don't deserve it yet. And you got someone like a Jessica Troy who's really good, like just a well-rounded, really good-looking offense. And this was just like, they just beat the hell out of each other for 10 minutes. It was really, really well worked.
Yeah. So, good show. It didn't have the great match that Homecoming had, but
no, yeah, definitely not.
It didn't have anything peak that high, but a good show that not only held my interest, but piqued my interest for what's coming next. Even if I didn't love how the ballroom brawl was booked, and I don't really have much of a use for this Lockie Hendricks guy, but you mentioned it earlier. It's just so nice also to watch wrestling with a real crowd, a crowd where there's not. I don't believe there's restrictions. I could be wrong because it looks like it's pretty packed.
I think it's good to go. Yeah, I think Australia's good to go. So
very few a mask here or there, but fans that are allowed to cheer and be loud and just wrestling with a real crowd. It's like you're entering like a time warp when you watch. It's so weird to watch wrestling with just a full crowd of people who are allowed to behave the way they want to behave because, Australia, or at least that part of Australia, has done a decent job with the COVID. So they're a little ahead of the rest of the world and they're having regular wrestling shows. So there's no question that adds to it because that's like a novelty right now. to have a wrestling show that feels like a wrestling show. So I think that helps a lot too.
Absolutely. So that's MCW Ballroom Brawl. It's available on their Vimeo as well. You can also just look up Melbourne City Wrestling, be able to find it as well. But yeah, definitely recommend it. Definitely recommend checking out MCW. Just very easy 2.5 hour watches with a lot of really good talented. And I think another thing too, before we get out of here, everybody in MCW looks the part. They look like pro wrestlers. You know what I mean? There's no.
Now look, they're not all major league ready.
No, certainly
it's
not.
Still an indie. But you're right about that. Like you don't have. Yeah, I totally know.
Nobody looks like a dork
now.
Unless they're supposed to look like a dork.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? No, everyone's got decent looking gear. Everyone's in okay shape. Everyone's trying. Everyone's got good music. The aesthetic. They nail the aesthetics in this company, and that's so rare these days. Yes. Especially in independent wrestling, it's just nailing the aesthetics, looking good. Both the production of the company and and what the wrestlers do when they come to the ring, the way their gear looks, the way they come down to the ring, the music they have, all that stuff. They care about every aspect of that, and that. I'm a simple man, Joe. That's all I want. All I want you to do is prove that you care, because then I will care. And that's all it takes.
Yeah. And I know the other part of the country, I know that EPW is running right now, and I think those shows are available. And what was the other thing I was going to say? Oh, the Adam Brooks Slex, the business match from last month. I think it's on YouTube for free. I think, if people want to go watch that. So wanted to make mention of that too.
Yeah, make sure right now I'm looking this up. MCW full. Yeah, if you look up Slex versus Adam Brooks, it says MCW full match Slex versus Adam Brooks, 3 stages of hell on YouTube. Another great idea by Melbourne City Wrestling. Put that match up on YouTube. Get that buzz going. We have screamed about that for years with indies. When you got a big match that gets that sort of that you think can really do it. I mean, all you have to do is look at progress and how much it helped them in those early days of putting those big matches up on YouTube and growing from there. So. Good on them. And that's it for us. I'm going to watch some White Sox baseball here. So that is it. Obviously, patreon.com/voice of wrestling, WrestleMania Randomizer, Thursday TV reviews, all that stuff going on right now at patreon.com/voices of wrestling. Next week, you'll get a lot of content from us. You will get a mega audio preview of WrestleMania weekend with myself and various Voices of Wrestling contributors. That will be up hopefully Tuesday, unless something goes wrong, but Tuesday is the plan. And then you and I, we think Wednesday, we'll see, but we think Wednesday, you and I will go live with an abbreviated, quote-unquote abbreviated WrestleMania weekend preview as well, where we'll talk about the entire weekend, as well as review New Japan Sakura Genesis. So that will be next week. We believe Wednesday, but we'll clarify that, because obviously Thursday things get hot and heavy with Mania weekend. So probably Wednesday for next week, but we'll let you guys know when we kind of make that official. But anyway, follow us on Twitter at Voices Wrestling, or don't, because you probably shouldn't have Twitter, but you should go to voicewrestling.com/discord, because that's a lot of fun. Patreon.com/voices wrestling. Support our sponsors, mybookie.ag, promo code voices, manscaped.com, promo code flagship. That's it for us.